why Biggie Smalls just popped into my mind right then and there. Just, I feel like saying it.
Or in the words of Pusha T,
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, if you want to call those words,
now you know,
sound more like a bowel movement type sound.
Well, speaking of Pusha T, Clips is coming back with a new album this week.
Oh, I don't even know who any of these.
Like, who'd you say?
Clips.
Clips. I don't know who that is.
I don't know.
Pusha T and No Malice, the hip hop duo from back in like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, but is he hip hop?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He even had a pretty successful solo career. Kanye had produced his Daytona album from 2018, released over Memorial Day weekend. I distinctly remember it.
Well, shit. Well, I'm not going to, question the savant, sir. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I don't know my music well enough to do that. But I'll tell you what, I will give Pusha T a try. I've heard about him through the rap group Coast Contra. They even had a few bars mentioning, I'm not Pusha T, but I'll push my T. Like my T-shirt on you,
Well, since we had also briefly talked about Drake last time around,
yes,
in our collective dislike for him, it might appeal to you that Pusha T had a diss
beef
track
with him. Oh yeah, well then I can get on board with that.
Well, it was also regarded as one of the first diss tracks to really reveal personal information that wasn't already
privy to the masses. Oh,
yeah, because it was revealed in that track that Drake was hiding a child.
Oh, well, is this a
you
factual?
are hiding a child. Let that boy come home. Deadbeat motherfucker playing Border Patrol. Ooh.
Okay.
Shit, wait a minute.
Damn, he done called him out and said he doing that typical black daddy thing. Well, where you leave your kid with your mama and you go on and you make yourself readily not available.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Everyone's saying the camera looks like shit. Okay.
It does. It's kind of like,
I don't know why it's at 360p.
It
looks good on our end. I wonder if it's a YouTube thing. Have we been downgraded?
Has YouTube downgraded? They might have downgraded us.
Hang on.
How dare they?
How dare they indeed? It could be the aperture. Maybe close the curtains behind. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Is it too much light? Is it reflecting off the... What's going on here? Yeah, it's like grainy. It's going in and out. I don't know what that's about. It might be a YouTube thing. This could be a YouTube thing. Advance 1080. Oh. Sir Editor is entering the building. Sir Editor is entering the building. Passports, papers. Damn, Michael, really? You saying we got the AOL? We got the dial up in here? Michael said we got the dial up. We bringing back the dial up modem.
All the screeching noises that used to come on before you actually got internet access. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember all that.
Wait, how old are you again?
34.
Yeah, you're there. Yeah.
Knocking on the door of middle age almost.
Oh my God, cry us all a river in here. Because everybody in here is old ass F. Maybe not as, I don't think Thomas is that old. And the rest of us are old farts.
No, I think it's
Yeah, this might be a YouTube thing. Simon.
I mean, sometimes I do get an interrupted connection.
Yeah. I'm going to do what Wabbit says. Don't stress. Half of us can't fucking see anyways, but we can hear you just fine.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. The bright side of things.
It's the beauty that comes with the old
Leave it
age.
to the fucking wascally wabbit.
Yeah. Stress too hard.
Okay, the editor is saying it's definitely on YouTube side.
Tell them we're gonna back out and come back in.
Everybody hang tight. I think they can hear you too. Your mic is right there. It's on. Yeah.
We're gonna back out and come back in. So
hang tight. Don't go anywhere.
Way better. Yep. That did it.
Oh, heck yeah. What was it? Have no
I think
clue.
It was just like a weird connection or something.
That's crazy. Wabby said, yep, it's worse. Michael said,
Hi. Good to see you.
normal service has been resumed. It's what Probes has described to you all. Your daily program has been resumed. Isn't that right, Colin? Look at me when I'm talking to you, Colin. Look at me. You knock that shit off, okay? I need you to look at me 24. You got to look at me in the camera, not in my eyes, man. Look at me through the camera. That way, you're on the TV screen, you're looking at me.
Still looks good.
It looks great. Don't listen to me. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me get chat up here on our side.
Yeah, I'm going to start blurring my camera. That is the game changer.
Okay,
Rabbit said start blurring the cameras. Game changer.
Okay, Probes, is it good? Because you were the first one bitching and moaning, Probes.
No, he said it's good. He
Okay,
says
I'm just saying. I saw his comment. He
resume
likes to
your,
bitch and moan.
He says resume your program.
Okay, all right. We're all ready when Probes is fucking ready. Thanks, Probes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Look, see, you see, Colin is
Don't
just
worry.
he's a gentleman. He's like
Probes is used to it.
Thank
Don't
you,
worry.
sir.
Yeah.
Don't you worry about Probes. He's a dirty, awful Britishman. Dirty, awful.
Dirty bloke, as they say.
A dirty bloke.
Now,
I
don't
always
you
like that word.
don't you upset these Brits? They're already mad that they're not in America. So you don't make it worse.
Oh, sorry. Not you.
I mean, they want to be here, but they can't be. So we're
Yeah.
just going to move on from there. Isn't that right, Tracker Jack?
Well, a couple of friends of mine wanted to go see the final Black Sabbath concert. It happened this past weekend. They got tickets for it, but then they realized, oh crap, it's actually really expensive to fly from America to the United Kingdom. So eventually they had to sell them.
Oh,
shit.
Like that's some of the things you should be thinking about before you buy tickets.
Well, I guess they weren't really anticipating the sheer cost of
Right.
the transatlantic trip.
Yeah. And I think their bases just quit here. Not quit, but retired.
What
here
shirt
recently.
is that I'm looking at? What shirt are you wearing?
Oh, Death Note.
Oh
It-
yeah, I love
it's an
that. The
anime, I
anime,
really
yeah.
enjoy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm well familiar,
Versed.
sir.
He's versed. I'm not versed, but he's well versed. And I'm going to
I
live.
mean, yeah, it's essentially a master class in how to potentially get away with first degree murder.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't they do a movie?
supposedly.
They did a movie.
Was it worth it? Was it worth watching?
I've never been encouraged to watch it myself.
Okay.
Yeah, just the
Yeah.
anime.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Just
Full
the-
Metal Alchemist too. You watch Full Metal?
Full Alchemist, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is the one that I have.
Oh, okay. Shit.
Any
yeah.
of you like me who used to like to watch Afro Samurai?
Afro Samurai was
yeah, voiced
amazing.
by Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, yeah.
That's-
What about Akira? You remember Akira?
Oh, I love Akira.
Fuck. Or Aeon Flux?
I definitely have that as
You
well.
fucks
And
with the flux?
Well, yeah, because I definitely grew up with MTV instead of Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network when I was a really, really, really little kid. I mean, I was watching basically whatever my parents were watching.
I don't ever
at the
think of you
time.
as a little kid ever. I think of you as always this person, right? You came out looking just like this.
Yeah.
You sounded like this at the age of whatever, one.
Yeah,
And you're like,
probably.
Mom, no,
Yeah.
this will not suffice for dinner, Mother.
Yeah.
This is not
And that's
going.
he was saying that at the age of 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, he just came out of my womb and he's using words like suffice.
Yeah, he came out saying words like, Mother, you can go fuck yourself right now. I'm tired of eating macaroni and cheese with Sunny D.
It's obviously that I've develop bicuspids and tricuspids.
My palate is now sushi and estranged fish that we've never seen before.
And I am ready to masticate. Is that how it went?
Is that how it went?
Something along those
You see what
lines.
I'm saying?
See?
I wasn't too far
I knew
off.
we had you pegged.
Had
I
you.
knew it. Okay, everybody, if you don't know who Colin is, he is the man behind NPR Radio, or a subdivision of NPR Radio,
Well, as
or a
Sidetracks.
satellite sidetracks. Sidetracks. That's what it
Sidetracks.
is.
WBOY Saturday nights 9 to 11.
There it is.
You
Now,
sound like somebody from fucking NPR.
here's
I'm gonna have you read the news real quick.
right.
Well, I mean, whenever our promo spots come on, I'm always just like, it's my voice on the radio. Just kind of freaking out about how
What the hell is wrong with you, Colin?
He's taking himself too serious.
yeah. I've definitely been told that I'm too hard on myself. I'm too self-critical.
Like a true artist.
Okay, wise
Like a
words.
true artist.
Wise words from our General Rabbit. When you feel like life is too much and you're not sure of yourself, just go ahead and stand up and just let your nuts hang out.
That's good advice.
It's very good advice. I mean,
Let them hang out. It'll take your mind off all the other bullshit, and you'll be focused on why everybody's looking at your nut bag.
it puts you in immediate meditation form.
Yeah, it does.
It puts you in the form of you're contemplating, why in the fuck did I just do that?
Yeah.
And everything else doesn't exist anymore.
Everybody stand up real quick, humor us. Just stand up. If you're in the
up.
confines of your own living space, and just let your nuts hang out.
if you have them.
If you have them. If you don't, let something else hang out.
Let your titties hang out.
There you go. I mean,
It's fine. We're trained professionals. Okay, Colin is back with us, and Colin brought something very special for us, ladies and gentlemen. Now, my brother and I, we didn't look inside the box. What's in the box? We didn't look inside the
What's
box.
in the box?
What's in the box?
What's
What's in the box? Wait, before we start that, it was your first time hearing us jam. I mean, we just threw that jam. We've been practicing this for a little bit, but what you think of the jam? Give us your honest opinion here live on S.O.R Radio.
Yeah, that jam is going to roll with us live. We're still building the video footage for it, but
Yeah.
that's one of the ones that we're putting in our arsenal. That's going to come on the road with us live.
And be honest. If you say anything negative, I'll fuck you up. But be honest. What you think about the music?
Well, I know I was flying high in the friendly sky.
There you go.
Oh, well, shit.
There you
And
go.
that's coming from a music guy.
That wasn't coerced at all.
Actually,
I'd even threaten to pummel this guy.
Colin's over-analytical mind supersedes all of you. You can all go fuck off. Thank you.
This has been a great program.
It's been a great program.
See you tomorrow.
Okay, Colin has brought the box. We do not know what's in the box, but I went Monday to go visit Colin. I had to pick up a couple of vinyls. Those two vinyls were...
Billy Wood's Gollywog, which was recently released, and then also Jose Gonzalez, Local Valley.
full Spanish version, baby. If you don't know about that Jose Gonzalez, then you are truly lost in your own sauce. Get a clue. So Monday, we talked, and I said, hey, could you come Wednesday? He said, well, absolutely. Then I said, could you bring some of your secret stash? And he said, let me think about it. I absolutely can bring some of my secret stash. Fast forward, Wednesday, here we are. He's
the
brought
here
his
and now.
secret stash in the here and now. This is not pre-recorded, or it may be.
And I promise they have no idea what I brought today. It's going to be something special. Yeah, and some of them are more, collectible ones, some rare ones, some ones that have historical significance in one way or another. So, shall I?
Without
Yeah,
ado,
yeah.
are
Let's
we-
go ahead and get them.
Okay, but look, just don't
blurt them out.
Don't
Yeah.
splurge all over the
Just
place.
Take
Okay?
your time with each one. Give us some history on it.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna catch up on these chats. Let's see here.
Wait, before you pull that, let him catch up on a couple. of chats
Great.
real quick.
No, you good.
Oh, okay, okay.
Some great advice there from Eternity about the nut bags hanging out. Tracker says, who's to tell you I haven't been doing that already?
Oh, well,
That's
shit.
it to say his nut bag been out before the show started.
They're well groomed, sir.
Half God, half beast says, people are looking at me funny through my window now. And that's what I want.
And that's what you need.
I want you to get out of your comfort zone.
Your mind is on to something else now. It wasn't what it was on. Go ahead.
Moser. Crazy Wabbit says Moser's bald first relaxed.
Colin, have you ever tried to relax your testicles before you let them out?
I'm not sure I know how to
Of course
do
you
that.
Yes.
Of course you haven't, Colin.
Yes.
Of course you haven't.
Man, there's a lot you need to learn on Monkey Island.
Anybody spot man with beard, if he comes in here and he doesn't say one fucking word, put eyes on him, point him out, and call him out. Let's go, Colin. Dig in your fucking crates already. Don't splooge. Just dig in the
Don't
tracker.
splooge it.
Dig in the Tracker Jack's crates over there.
Yeah, don't prematurely splooge it.
Yeah.
Well, first title.
Splooge.
Since you had brought up
Right.
splooge.
Splooge it. See, you see there? You see how we're on track with his collection and the vibration of the mental proverbial mind bullets of telekinesis?
Hey, let him pull a goddamn vinyl out.
Go ahead and pull a vinyl out,
Well,
man.
as James Brown once said, do you remember this one?
Is that how you said it, though?
Oh, shit.
2 Live Crew.
Let's see how that looks on.
Can we show that on YouTube?
I think we can. Yeah, we
It's
can.
a bathing suit.
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, give me that shit over here. Give me
Yeah,
that over here.
exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta
It
examine
is
this
actually
first.
original pressing.
Yeah, I mean
That's the original pressing?
I
It
remember
is
this album.
from '89.
Mm-hmm.
That
I
album
don't know if
came
they
out.
Yeah, they see it good enough.
see it good
Yeah.
enough?
Yep.
Well, it's got
All
that
right.
light on
It's
it.
got that light. A little bit of light. A little bit of glare.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
You know what?
That
Let me-
album was
Yeah,
the
just go ahead,
subject
take
of
it up
an
there.
obscenity trial.
Yeah, go on, take it up there now.
It's the
Yeah,
kind
get
of
it up
album that would make Senator Joseph Lieberman cry bitter tears.
Yo, I mean, back in the day when this it still got that heavy reflection on it. That damn light. But I remember back in the day, 2 Live Crew when they came out. I remember a bunch, and let me tell you when I say a bunch of white people was bumping 2 Live Crew when they came out. A bunch. 2 Live Crew is the porno of hip hop. Would you agree?
Absolutely, I would agree.
And I would say,
I mean, if this album is any indication, I mean, it's almost 80 minutes long, and every single, well, okay, maybe Megamix 3 is the exception because it's a mostly instrumental track, but
Right.
yes, every single last one of these 18 songs, I think it is, definitely pornographic.
pornographic. Now, would you say? Okay, refresh me. And Viral Beats is here too. I know you can help. Who came out first, Too Short or 2 Live Crew?
I honestly don't know, but if I had to wager a guess,
I think 2 Live Crew came out.
I would probably have to agree, honestly, because I know Life is Too Short is his most popular album by far because of the Freaky Tales track on it. And I want to say that album came out in, well, probably 89, 90.
90? What I'm getting at is who inspired who? Because when I think porno hip hop, I think Too Short and 2 Live Crew.
Porno hip hop. What
I mean, we're talking about 2 Live Crew is the porno of hip hop.
Yeah, they were really raunchy.
And
they
Too
painted
Short,
they painted a great picture.
yes.
And Too Short was more of a pimp drug dealer.
Yeah, but he was still nasty.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if anything, Two Live Crew probably had a more evident sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like the song Reggae Joint. I mean, I always get such a laugh out of it because it's just utterly ridiculous. But, you know, the refrain being, come sake sake, bitch, bend down.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, that never fails to get
Yeah.
a laugh out of me.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
But it's the kind of laugh that makes me go, oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now look, okay.
It's
You guys, hold on. Viral says, Born to Mac was first, but he was a local hit beforehand. And he says Too Short was first.
really.
Yeah, Tracker says, remember Blowfly.
Oh, Blowfly. That I'm definitely familiar with the name.
I don't remember See,
Okay.
Tracker Jack, you can't get involved when you know more than me. Stop. Okay, go ahead, sir, as you was.
But
Well, as I mentioned, this album was the subject of an obscenity trial, and at least a few shopkeepers in the Florida region state were getting arrested simply because they were selling this album. And this was after like the PMRC hearings in the mid 80s, 1985, somewhere around there. And
What were those hearings about? Refresh the viewers and myself, because I am not privy.
Well, it originated when Tipper Gore became privy to Prince, specifically the song "Darling Nikki" in the line, masturbating with a magazine. Apparently, she thought that music was getting too dirty in the 80s, so she wanted to form this committee that would promote a parental advisory sticker. It was mainly it was sold as a ways and means of letting parents know that there is explicit content on this album that is not really for children. Even though children were, a pretty respectable demographic market of music buyers, back then and even now today. There's always this instinct to protect them from stuff that could potentially warp their views of the outside world. And it was mainly as a means for parents to go, oh, okay, well, this has a parental advisory label. I don't think I'm going to get this for my kid. Or if you had parents like mine, they at least knew about the parental advisory label and they let me listen to it anyway because they trusted that my mind was formidable enough to not really have it be warped or twisted by anything I was going to hear on a record.
And let's be honest, those kids would have gotten that shit off the street regardless. Because when something like music is popular, you can't hide it from your youth, right?
Well, if you tell them no is that word where
I got to go do it.
It's taboo.
Well, yeah, it's the forbidden fruit effect.
Right.
Yeah. And I can only imagine something like this would definitely have piqued their interest.
At our age, we were probably 12? I think we were 12.
Easy.
Yeah, True Live Crew, I was definitely beating off to that in the bathroom for sure. Just watching, looking at the tape.
Look at that cover, man. I mean, shit.
Yeah, that gave me all the imagination I needed right there. Yeah.
Look, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you play the tape and you like, yeah, that's really nasty.
They really had control over their assets.
Yeah, literally.
And their asses.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's what you were getting at.
Damn you, Colin. You got to come along with me. Okay, but yeah, I probably only know, to be honest, one or two songs from Tune Live Crew. It really wasn't my spiel. I just knew them to be porn, hip hop, and I don't know if I was ever really into it as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something more substantial, thematically, this definitely isn't the album.
Right.
But the history of it and how everybody used it in their jokes and stand up and just samples and
so are you saying that's where the parental advisory came from? Was this whole litigation between parents or whoever this was with albums like this?
Well, I mean, this is certainly a sterling example of why a parental advisory label is probably needed for a mass market music consumption audience, but it was, like I said, the PMRC was established around 1985, and then they had Senate hearings involving artists such as Frank Zappa came out to testify against having a parental advisory label. So did John Denver, for that matter. Dee Snider from Twisted Sister. Pretty much one of the only musicians to come out in favor of the PMRC parental advisory label was Mike Love from the Beach Boys.
Oh, yeah. He's a goody fucking two shoes.
Well, I mean...
Everybody go surf! Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it was one of the only times where he kind of had this bipartisan reach, because, I mean, he's fundamentally a Republican, and the PMRC was primarily a Democrat-formed thing.
Yeah.
And so...
Politics ain't got no place in music.
No, it does. Never had.
Well, I mean, there's Rage Against the Machine, of course.
Politics has a place in music.
That's not politics. That's protesting.
Yeah, it is. That's
protesting.
That's borderline
protesting.
Borderline's anarchy.
It's protest. Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, probably also explains why Tom McDonald, say, doesn't really get all that much respect.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, it's worth remembering that he's a Canadian. So I mean, when he's talking about all the troubles about America, he's certainly within his rights to. But
not McDonald. You got the wrong Tom, man. The rapper Tom.
Oh,
controversial political Tom.
Yeah, he came out in around 2018 with that single "White Boy."
Yeah.
Yeah, really embarrassing stuff, but what are you
gonna do? He's Canadian.
Yeah, and a grifter. I
Yeah.
mean, he
Yeah.
definitely has a ways and means of pandering to his audience, telling them exactly what they want to hear, how they want to hear it.
Oh.
So he has at least some success within.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Tom McDonald, the hit,
Tom
the
McDonald.
rapper.
Yeah.
Tom
the rap.
McDonald,
Okay.
Yeah,
So I take it you don't like him per se.
I can't say I do.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
for politics and music, I normally get turned off by that kind of thing.
Right,
But you
right.
know, when Rage is, expounding political themes, motifs,
Okay, but
political
what-
talking points,
Right.
it's more along lines of protests. I mean, even Zach De La Rocha once said that pretty much every song that he writes for Rage Against the Machine is a love song. Every act
Yeah.
of revolution is an act of
Yeah.
love.
And I was gonna say with even,
But I do like some Tom McDonald songs though.
But
'cause
wait, I was
some of
gonna-
that shit he's on point with.
so what's the cutoff? I mean, because before Rage, Public Enemy was
Yeah, I mean,
Was doing it,
Public
right?
Enemy was
And-
doing
and
it.
if-
You can
and-
go ahead and put that porn back,
yeah.
sir.
And if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but Public Enemy even took over Rage at one point.
yeah, I mean,
Well, there was Prophets of Rage.
Prophets
It was-
Prophets of
yeah,
Rage.
it
And
was a
Chuck D
supergroup.
and them, like
Right.
yeah.
Very short-lived. They only put out an EP and an album, like right around 2017, and then dipped.
Right.
yeah, yeah. Okay, what else we got in there? Damn, you brought some too. He digging, y'all.
Digging in the crates.
Okay, see, yeah.
The self-titled album,
That
also
album.
an original press.
That album right
Okay.
there.
Okay. Now I've played this album, the CD, so much that the skips were even getting skipped.
Yo,
You know what I'm talking about?
yeah.
Well, it is one of the best engineered albums of all time. Matter of fact, I've definitely read about like certain audio engineers when they need to
That cover.
tweak their mixing boards and their speakers just right.
Uh-huh.
AC/DC's Back in Black is a popular favorite, and so is that album.
Yeah. And I want to say the one that was most controversial.
All
let me
right, that's
look at-
enough. That's enough airtime. We don't want YouTube to.
No, it's just a cover.
yeah,
It was.
but, it's a horrific cover.
Was
not
it
me
Know
saying
Your-
that.
Was it Know Your Enemy? Which one was the one where they did the video on the steps of Washington D.C.?
Oh, that was Sleep Now in the Fire
Sleep Now in the Fire.
from Battle of Los Angeles.
From Battle of Los
Angeles.
And let me
Yep.
tell you something about that damn track.
Wait, before you do,
Yes. Yes.
when they chose that cover,
Yeah.
I've watched a podcast. It wasn't based on Rage Against the Machine at all, but I watched a podcast about a monk or a Buddhist monk that told the story of the guy you're seeing on that cover, why he lit himself on fire, and where he reached as far as enlightenment. And he got to the point of enlightenment where he can program himself out of his body and watch his avatar burn without flinching, yelling, movement. And he was going to prove it as a protest against some other things that were going on that I don't want to butcher. And that man sat there and meditate with gasoline all over him, lit himself on fire, didn't move a muscle, didn't yell a peep, didn't even fucking open his eyes. He was detached. And how he met that enlightenment, the story behind it, is phenomenal. I'll find a way to link that in Discord later today. Beautiful story. Crazy. But go ahead.
Well, I did find this at Half Price Books many years ago, and it was only $25.
Whoa.
Oh, shit.
Which is about roughly the same amount that a new repress of it was going for, like $25, $30. So I thought, well, might as well have the original article right here.
Oh, man.
It does have a couple of hairline scratches on the vinyl itself, but otherwise it does play fantastically.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe a
nice.
crackle here and there, but otherwise it's been kept in really good shape over the
But
years.
the crackle is what we're all about here. The
Yeah.
snap, the crackle.
The pop, baby. Yeah, that's a good one right there.
That was a controversial album cover.
I used to have all the physicals too, man.
It was a very controversial
It
cover.
was. I'm sad I got rid of all of my physical copies. But go ahead, let's go. I traded everything in for digital.
Well, let's see. Probably the single most desired album from both my Zoomer and Alpha customers that's rarely ever available. Frank Ocean's Blonde.
Frank Ocean.
From 2016, and he hasn't released he's released a couple of new songs since then, but otherwise no new album on the horizon.
Man, that looked clean too. You took care of
This
that.
is very clean.
I didn't want to give
Admittedly, it is a bootleg because that's probably the most practical way that anybody can get a hold of that particular album. Every once in a great long while, Frank Ocean will have fresh copies, like, authorized copies available up on his website, but those are pretty rare. And then by the time most music publications, report on it, that's when they, pretty much sell out immediately. And I'm pretty sure he was also selling that album for about roughly $80 a pop.
Are you serious? Wow.
Dead serious. He's pretty cagey when it comes to releasing physical copies of his work. He is re-releasing Channel Orange as a vinyl album on his website, and again, it's going to go for about roughly $80.
What do you think? What do you think his art depicts to you? Like, why cop that vinyl?
Well, because honestly, 2016 in general was an amazing year for music. I mean, just about every time I turned around, there was something being released that was, making waves in music communities. And, by the time I would listen to it myself, I would think to myself, wow, this is actually really good. I have to get this now. But of course, in the case of Frank Ocean, again, he's very cagey about releasing stuff physically. Even the CD for Channel Orange, I have a hard time trying to keep in stock, because by the time I do get in stock, it sells, goes on back order. I have to wait a few weeks, months even, for it to come back in stock. Get it back in stock, sell again, and the cycle just repeats like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of a frustrating situation from my standpoint, because, well, I mean, I get all sorts of youngins all the time asking, hey, do you have Frank Ocean vinyls? They always use the word vinyls, too, even though it's not grammatically correct. One of those things that kind of makes my eyelids twitch.
Okay, people, don't do it. Don't say
do
it here.
You better get your ass
don't
there and
say
say,
vinyl.
where the LPs at?
Where
But
the
as far
records?
as
Where
Frank
the
Ocean,
records?
Frank Ocean's relevance.
What word
to
do you
this-
like to hear? Fuck, don't
hold
ignore
up.
me.
What the fuck? LP or records? What do you want to hear, Colin?
Well, just vinyl in general.
God
'Cause
damn it.
The plural of vinyl
Right.
is indeed vinyl.
Okay.
Same with
Just
the
not
word
the
moose.
vinyls.
Vinyls.
So you don't want it
Okay,
plural.
so you don't want a plural.
You just
No.
want vinyl.
Okay,
Well-
look, y'all. When y'all come to Colin's record store, the Wooden Nickel,
In Fort Wayne, Indiana.
know your fucking grammar, or you gonna piss this man off, and he gonna rip your head off and shit down your neck. Now, do you want that?
Well,
You'll
I
never be able to pick out vinyls again if you do that.
Well, I also get a lot
Go
of
ahead.
youngins asking me, hey, do you have Mac Miller vinyls? It's always just that specific word whenever young people are asking for Mac Miller, Frank Ocean, etc. And even most recently, there was a Noah Kahn album that was recently issued. It's his Live from Fenway Park album. And it on the hype sticker, it says Poppy and Midnight Vinyls. And I'm like, you're just perpetuating it now.
Damn.
But that's just my own little quirk, I
I'm
guess.
looking
you
at
would
you
say.
like you done lost your damn mind.
But I can only imagine that the content within Frank Ocean's music definitely appeals to a lot of teenagers. A lot of his stuff tends to be kind of like coming of age tales. Figuring out his own sexuality, which was kind of the basis of Channel Orange. Like in the liner notes, he includes the letter about him coming out to the world. I don't know if he's strictly gay or bisexual per se, but it was definitely a thing for him. And I mean, especially the song Pink and White. I mean, I've always liked the the overall rhythm and melody going on with that. Same with Nike's, which is like this tripped out, more or less ambient track where he kind of does some funny pitch tweaking to his own voice, makes it almost kind of sound like Chipmunk Soul in a way.
So is he more of a conscious guy in your opinion?
He has conscious elements, sure. I don't know if it would be entirely correct to call him like a conscious hip hop type of guy. Because more often than not, whenever I do get his material in the store, I typically put it in the R&B and soul area.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes he does have certain flows to his vocal work that can be construed as rap and hip hop, but I wouldn't necessarily pit him as a rap and hip hop artist.
Would you put him next to the D'Angelo and Maxwell section?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
In terms of like R&B legends,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's certainly a newer one.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Give
and
me
then
some reference
there's
points.
also the famous solo reprise track on here, which features Andre 3000 just rapping at light speed. Really,
Okay,
really good.
Would you
I'm
put
about to
him
look
on
that
a
shit up?
Would you put him on a Michael Kiwanaku type section?
If anything, I would say Frank Ocean tends to have a more contemporary sound. He does tend to incorporate a lot more electronic elements. In
Like
his
a
music
Moses,
sometimes.
like
Certain
a
songs anyway.
Moses Sumley type. You ever hear of Moses Sumley?
I've heard of Moses Sumley, but I'm not as familiar with his music.
Me either.
What about Robert Owens? Would you put him into Robert Owens?
I'm afraid I don't know.
Oh,
Robert Owens
he's a
either.
house guy. He's a house guy. Yeah. Study up on that. Yeah.
I'll keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
You don't know more than me.
Not today.
Look, you
Probably know more than anybody.
you
in
know
this
more than
goddamn
me.
room.
Man.
I'm gonna
I
tell
ain't,
you
I
that
ain't
right
fooling
now.
nobody. But go ahead. What else? What else we got? What else we got?
All right. Well, we also have. Well, I'm a David Lynch fan, as you all know, and I'm lucky enough to have
you got
a
over
vinyl
here?
copy of the
Eraserhead.
Eraserhead soundtrack.
Oh,
Why
done
does that?
by
Whoa.
David Lynch himself with Alan Splett.
I don't know who that is, but
I've never heard once. I'm sure I've heard a song by Eraserhead, but
no,
Well,
Eraserhead is the movie.
oh,
And then that's
see, it shows you what the fuck I know.
and that's the soundtrack to it. It's mostly ambient. It has a very unsettling atmosphere to it.
Everything
all.
is fine. I love this artwork though.
Yeah, damn.
That
that's some
also was
trippy
a
shit.
half price books find for $60.
And then the back has the cloud face.
And then on the inside, it comes with a photo of the Eraserhead baby.
The Eraserhead baby.
You guys haven't seen the movie at all.
No.
Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. It's been a long time.
Well,
It's an 80s movie, I'm sure.
77 actually.
7? Yeah, yeah, dude. That's,
Well, it was his first movie, and it took him like 5 years to make it too.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Ah, here we go. Yes.
was what?
The
Steve
Eraserhead
Elbows.
baby.
Eraserhead baby. This
fuck
shit
is
looks
that?
weird.
I swear I delivered that this morning in my toilet.
Yeah.
God, dog.
I think it's-
I'll have to bring it up close, see if we can't
It's
get
it's feeding this fucking baby Marmite.
Oh, shit.
That's Marmite. Go on, show the people this ET looking ET looking baby Marmite.
But it's easily one of my favorite films of all time, and it's basically a nightmare in film form.
Yeah, that looks good. That's fucking Marmite on the spoon. That's what he's feeding.
There's not really a concrete plot to it per se. It's just about this guy who's on vacation who has a child with his girlfriend, and it's a very high maintenance kid, so to speak. It does cry an awful lot, and Henry, that's the name of Mr. Eraserhead here. He does his best to take care of the kid, but it doesn't always pan out.
Okay.
But like I said, it's definitely a nightmare in film form.
Right.
I mean, there's not really a cohesive, plot to it.
Right. It's just kind of
It's
sporadic.
just kind of one scene after another of just what in the hell is this?
Yeah. Just a collage of shit.
Yeah, it was. Well, I mean, the main inspiration for Eraserhead was, largely due to David Lynch moving out to Philadelphia, and he certainly liked the atmosphere of that particular city, but he also was very stricken by its malevolence. It's a black and white film, very creepy, very unsettling. He would encounter certain people along the way that would just make him just kind of shake his head and go like, how bizarre is this? For instance, there's a story they like to tell about there was this one lady on her stoop with her son, and they happened to make eye contact with David Lynch, and David, wanting to be polite, said, "Well, hi, how are you?" And the woman said to her son, "Hi, how are you? You ever talk like that to me, I'll fucking kill you."
Oh, well.
The fuck?
Yeah, it was just really bizarre stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds lovely, though. That sounds nice.
Yeah.
How old is this movie?
1977.
1977. I'm sure Chrome has seen it.
Can we find?
I'm sure Cressy's probably
I
seen
wonder
So it's
if
almost
my
50 years old at this point.
I wonder if my wife is listening. I would like to see a trailer to this. Hang on, let me do something here. Let me see if we could do this. Go ahead and pull something else out while I fandangle my phone.
Virus Music says Eraserhead always reminds him of a house party. And then Steve Elbow says they aren't even sure if it is a baby.
Yeah, that's actually a quote from the movie.
See, Steve Elbows knows all about it. Midnight at the Movies.
Yeah, it was a popular midnight movie in that particular circuit, along with others like Pink Flamingos.
Probe says there's a lot of scary aircon noise in that film. Air conditioning noise, I guess.
Well, it's specifically a radiator that tends to screech a lot.
Chrome says in the 70s, I saw it in college at a head theater.
Oh, well.
Is that where you get head, Chrome? I don't understand.
I think that's where Chrome goes
context,
into head.
please, Chrome? Because when you tell us something, we don't know what to think. You a nasty man, and nasty men need more context when they speak to normal-minded folks like us.
Simon Greatbatch, I've played with Robert Owens at Lamont. We played I'll Be Your Friend with him. Good times. See, I knew Simon Greatbatch was in the goddamn
That's because Simon created the 80s. Simon, you single-handedly created the 80s. I think you were a god for 10 years. And no, I'm sorry. Yeah. You were a god for 10 years, and you secretly created the 80s. That I am absolutely sure of.
Vicky said no, at head theaters where heads go to watch film.
Oh,
not where you go to get head.
Okay. I mean, Vicky would know.
I like my brother's interpretation better.
Right?
In the popcorn box.
Yeah,
Right?
and the
Yeah.
popcorn box.
You might have ran into Pee Wee Herman in them head theaters.
You may have.
What was Pee Wee Herman's real name?
Paul
Rubens.
Rubens.
Paul Rubin. You might have ran into him in one of them places.
Hell, you might have got some of his secret sauce on your lap.
or in your popcorn, and you thought it came from the ceiling, and it was an old long shot for Rubin. What else we got?
What else we got?
Well, another one of my rare and highly collectible, highly desired albums that
shit.
I'm blessed with.
Oh, we get into the allocation right now. Let's go.
It's allocated.
It's very allocated.
Alice in Chains MTV Unplugged from
Damn.
1996.
Oh, wow.
And it was only ever pressed on vinyl through the Music on Vinyl label, and they're based out of Holland. And they always do a fantastic job pressing albums. They're always 180 gram, and when you put the needle on the record itself, no surface noise at all whatsoever.
Does that song have the rooster on it?
I believe it does, yes.
Is this with Flea? Is
Here
Flea
comes the rooster.
Was Flea part of Alice in Chains at one point?
No, that's Red Hot Chili Peppers.
But I thought with the Chili Peppers, Flea was with somebody.
I think that was Jane's Addiction.
Jane's Addiction. There you go.
Briefly in the 90s, he was a part of Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
When they reunited in 1997 for some concerts.
Let me see if I can't take
That
this up.
is a nice cover.
I've always liked that album cover, even when I
Alice
was
in
a kid,
Chains.
listening to Alice in Chains and listening to my dad's copies of Dirt and Jar of Flies.
What year was that album?
Jar of Flies?
No, this one right here.
1996.
96. Yeah, MTV was still booming back then.
Yeah, because in July, I think it was actually July of 96 was when Alice in Chains had performed their final concerts together with the original lineup. Or at least the lineup with Mike Inez on bass and Lane Staley on vocals, of course. Eventually they kind of had to hang it up in light of Lane Staley's awful heroin addiction.
Isn't that a thing? Like all of our, who we would think are great musicians, they always have this addiction, right? Isn't that
or at
funny?
least it kind of buys it, or at least it perpetuates the whole tortured artist type of thing. Because I mean, suffering is not required in order to make great art, but it helps.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it
Well, I don't
does
know.
kind of lend a certain credibility.
We
to
had
the
like,
music.
it goes back forever though, doesn't it? Like Billie Holiday when she was strung out on heroin.
Oh, sure.
It's like it's this thing. It's like this. It's this perpetual.
And Charlie Parker's rampant alcohol and drug addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, he passed away in his 30s, but according to the doctor who did his autopsy, I mean, he might as well have been doing an autopsy on somebody who was at least 60-something years old.
Wow. And then Miles Davis is on some shit too. Like it's this thing.
Well, yeah, he was definitely on heroin
Ray
in
Charles.
like the early 50s. He had kicked the habit for a while, but then in the 70s, he had come into some poor health. He had a heart attack during a tour when he was in Brazil, but he was also drinking heavily around that time, using a lot of blow.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he retired from music altogether around 1975 and kind of took like this 5-year-long hiatus from it until he came back with The Man with the Horn in 1981, I want to say.
Yes.
Tell us something. Do you know any profound stories about Alice in Chains?
Well, as it pertains to the MTV Unplugged performance in general, Jerry Cantrell actually had food poisoning during this particular show. Apparently, he had a bad hot dog, and it was kind of one of those things where they were on the verge of, do we cancel this gig? Do we not? They still went on with it anyway. So even though it's a highly lauded performance, and again, it's hugely desirable among my own customer base at Wooden Nickel. I mean, every once in a while, I do get a lot of requests for MTV Unplugged, but unfortunately, the only way you can really get this vinyl album is through the eBays of the world, Discogs, etc. It goes for hundreds of dollars.
Is this one open? Is it still sealed?
It's definitely opened. I don't have any sealed records in my collection.
Yeah, you just.
I mean,
drink
I used
them.
to,
Go
but
ahead.
eventually I broke the seal on the ones I had
yeah,
seals on.
You just drink them. Go ahead and drink that.
Should I
thing.
be touching this if you broke the seal, big boy? Oh, you broke the seal, my good sir.
Las Vardas?
Like I said, Jerry Cantrell was very ill when that
Which one is
performance
that?
was taped.
Which one
he
is-
was the guitarist.
Right here?
This guy right here.
That one? Is he
Yeah.
back over here somewhere then?
Yep. That's
Is that him?
And he had food poisoning when he
From
did
a
this?
bad hot dog.
From a
That's
bad
right.
hot dog. And you would have probably never known because he was just like, I'm going to power through it.
Exactly. When the will is invoked, the healing powers
Of music starts to take
Yeah,
over.
Exactly.
I believe that shit, though.
Me too.
You could be down and out and, God damn, what the hell are you eating on? And you dropped it.
Pineapple.
You ever see a dude with big old soup cooling lips eat pineapple on a live while doing the podcast? You have today.
I don't give a fuck.
If you saw it here.
You saw it here.
There ain't no professionalism in this bitch.
And because he over here eating pineapple, watch this.
Oh, and another aspect about the MTV Unplugged performance, as you can see here on Mike Inez's acoustic bass, you can kind of see the faint outlines of the words, friends don't let friends get friends haircuts. that's a reference to the members of Metallica actually being in the crowd for that particular show.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, but because around that time they had just gotten haircuts, just kind of like alter their image, you know, for the 90s, if you will. And, you know, to certain hardcore metal fans, you know, it was almost kind of like this act of betrayal. Like, you cut your hair. I mean, you guys are like Samson almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of Mike Inez's, you know, way of friendly chiding them for getting their hair cut.
I like that. Just a little camaraderie. Just give people shit.
Oh yeah.
I
They were admirers of each other's music.
Right. What's his name? James Hetfield. Yeah. Could you imagine him in your gig, just
In the
sitting
audience.
and just watching you play? What kind
Right.
of pressure is that? And well, I didn't know Alice in Chains was considered metal. I always thought they were like a grunge, like a little harder grunge than metal.
Well, they definitely are grunge, but of the big four of grunge, that also includes Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam. Alice in Chains definitely had the most metal influences going on in their music, whereas Nirvana came more from the school of punk rock. Soundgarden, they also were kind of metal-ish, but they kind of took after Led Zeppelin for how each one of their members, you know, contributed greatly to the whole experience. And then you have Pearl Jam, which is more, you know, just strictly alternative rock influenced.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely astounded that I actually have this and got on the train, so to speak, before it finally became out of print like years and years ago.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of, I don't know why, but they make me think of Days of the New.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember? I don't know if you, yeah.
I remember Days in the New.
Yeah,
definitely.
they had 2 albums, didn't they?
Mud
Three of
was,
them, actually.
yeah.
Oh,
A
okay.
yellow album, a green
Yeah,
album, and a
with
red
a tree,
album.
right? With the tree.
Always
yeah.
with a tree.
Always
yeah.
with a tree. Yeah. Who sang that song? I'm a man in a box.
Alice in Chains.
Okay, that's what I figured. I'm like, why did that song just pop up in my head?
Yeah,
That's
that
why.
was one of the first singles that they had released, and that was the single that really put them on the map, too. That was released off of the Facelift album from 1990. And back for the Facelift album in particular, you can kind of tell that Alice in Chains were still kind of shedding their glam metal roots, because it's essentially where they came from, was, you know, kind of a glam metal oriented sound. But as the 90s hit, that sound just kind of became a little passe, especially as Nirvana blew up in late 1991, and suddenly anybody who was big in the 80s just kind of became yesterday's news.
Damn.
Half God, Half Beast is saying Soundgarden were great. Chris Cornell, Audio Slave, good too. Steve Elbow said Black Hole Sun got
Black
so
Hole
much
Sun.
airplay in the early 90s.
Yeah, it
That's
did.
right.
It helped
Yes,
that it
it
had an
did.
amazing music video too.
Yeah.
You know,
I
definitely a
remember that.
surreal music video where the faces are all contorted,
Right.
and warped and
Yeah.
twisted.
Yeah.
You know, just really freaky looking. Definitely kind of scared me as a kid, but at the same time, I was also incredibly intrigued by it.
Yeah.
Like, whenever it would come on MTV, I'd always just, you know, plant myself in front of the TV and just be in awe of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean,
God, I remember
again, that's
that.
what I grew up with as, you know, a really, really little kid.
Right.
I was watching music videos and Beavis and Butthead. You know, they were my
Yeah, I mean,
first music
right.
critics.
Wait,
Yeah.
you said you're 34?
34
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
old.
So
yep.
you were, my brother and I were
Aerosmith
about
was-
12, 13 years old back then.
Yeah.
That's right.
Aerosmith was
Man, you were a young kid.
pretty popular then too.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
they,
mean,
were,
they-
they were coming back, weren't they? Like,
Definitely. You know, they attained a lot of success in the 70s, of course, but unfortunately with them, drugs became
here we go again.
more omnipresent
Here we go
in their
again.
lives, and unfortunately it was also affecting the quality of their music. Eventually Joe Perry left the band in the very late 70s, very early 80s, and well, Steven Tyler and company decided to carry on without him, and unfortunately weren't making as compelling music as what they could have had Joe Perry stayed in the band. But they all reunited around the mid 80s and put out an album, Permanent Vacation, in 1987. that had the single "Dude Looks Like a Lady," which was about Steven Tyler encountering Vince Neil at a bar someplace. You could only see the back of Vince Neil's head, and he had those golden locks of long blonde hair, and thought it was honestly a chick. And lo and behold, Vince Neil turns around to meet him, and it's actually a dude. Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah,
Damn.
see, the '80s when the big hair shit was in effect.
Their makeup.
But you're right though. Aerosmith did have a lot of just huge commercial success in the
Right.
90s.
Yeah, they
with
came
albums
back.
like Pump and Get a Grip.
Yeah.
They also had that one single that they
Jamie's
did for
had
the
Jamie's got a
Armageddon.
gun.
Yeah.
That was from Pump.
Yeah.
Granted, it's one of my least favorite songs of all time, but the one that they did for the Armageddon soundtrack.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wanna close my eyes.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautifully done. I thought the arrangement for him was nice.
But also bear in mind that song was written by Diane Warren for Celine Dion, who had passed on that song, and somehow it wound up in Aerosmith's hands.
He did a good job
like
with
this,
it, I think. It's a-
dinosaur cock rock band from the
I would have
70s.
never
Cock
known.
rock. You like a good cock rock band?
I would have never known. You know what, Colin?
Go ahead and say it.
You're like our fucking secret weapon.
Yeah,
you
you
know
are.
that?
Yeah, you are.
Anytime we have podcasts going out further from here,
We have a fucking guru.
and we get into a segment or a situation where it's beyond us, people, and someone dare debates. We're going to have days where we just say, you know what? We'll stop the argument here. We'll bring in our professional analyst,
and he'll analyze this shit.
and we'll get to the bottom of it. We're going to use you as that go-to card. You're our secret weapon.
I think you're so if this is the news station, you're our top reporter. You got your finger on the pulse. You know what I mean?
And we'll pay you with I don't know.
Bananas.
Banana splits.
Whatever monkeys pay with. That's what we're going to pay you with.
Banana splits and not a handful of shit throwing.
No.
Maybe like we just give
Partial.
you partial
Yeah.
shit throwing. Yeah, it sounds good. Next, what else we got, Colin? Come on.
Well, all right. This next selection is one of the records I kept sealed in my collection for many years
Oh, shit.
because it is an original pressing and it is an album
Damn.
that I really love. And it's also an album that I got extremely cheaply too.
Okay, don't show it yet.
You make
Give
it-
us some guesses.
Yeah,
like
you make this seem like it's the vampire of all records and it's never seen the light of day.
give us some hints so we can guess.
Okay. It's a band that formed in the 80s
Okay.
and they attained their greatest commercial success in the 90s.
Okay.
Their chosen genre is notably, well, I won't exactly say inaccessible, but it's not really the kind of thing that you would expect to be commercially successful. It was
Okay.
commercially successful at a very specific time where that kind of music was becoming more acceptable in the mainstream per se. But at the same time, this was also just a little bit before, 9 Inch Nails, as an example, had made industrial music really popular in the mainstream with, Head Like a Hole, and then about 5 years later with Closer. But anyway, the band in question begins with an M, fronted by a dude named Al Jorgensen. If that name sounds
I'm
at all
sure
Come on,
chat.
chat.
I'm sure.
Put your fucking thinking helmets on.
I'm gonna go with Motley Crue.
I'm going to say Motley Crue too.
No.
Okay.
Well, fuck you too. I mean,
Okay.
shit, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings.
That was a firm no. You looked at us with disgrace.
Cress had said Muse.
Also no.
Well,
Oh,
fuck you too. Thanks, Crash, for embarrassing us once again.
does anybody have a good
Ministry.
There you
Who
go.
said that
half
shit?
God, half beast.
Ho?
Half God, half
Bicky,
beast.
there's a reason why
Damn you.
I loved you, Bicky.
You don't make us monkeys look bad at all, Bicky.
Bicky is a very wise and sharp man.
As long as he didn't whack Google it, he is.
Go
But
on.
this particular album is Filth Pig from 1996.
Bill
Pig.
Pig. I have no idea who this is, but Bicky, feel free to vet anything Colin says.
Don't
and-
blame me.
Yep.
Looks very political.
It's not really a political album. Ministry's politically
got a
oriented
mushroom on it,
material
Colin.
wouldn't become more overt until the mid 2000s when Al Jorgensen did his anti-Bush trilogy that consisted of Houses of the Mole in 2004, Rio Grande Blood in 2006, and The Last Sucker in 2007. That one is more along the lines of a, say, suicidal depression album.
Oh,
Mostly because poor Al was just so strung out on heroin around this time that, it definitely was affecting the overall mood of his songs. I
Right.
mean, the songwriting on it is still fantastic, and it's easily one of my favorite sludge metal albums of all time. It came out on January 30th, 1996, so it's about ready to celebrate 30 years of existence. And
I like that mushroom.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a drug heavy kind of album, I guess you could say.
Would you say it's like you put that next to the Wall album?
I mean, The Wall and Filth Pig are, sonically and thematically very different. Although, I mean, I suppose you could make the argument that both of them kind of deal with feelings of alienation from society.
Okay.
Something along those lines.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I
But
have
yeah,
no
I mean,
idea.
it's a special album to me because I first discovered this through a friend who also was really into Ministry. But by that point, I was really only familiar with albums like The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste and Psalm 69.
The mind is a terrible thing to taste.
Yeah. I never really ventured any further beyond that. But then a friend of mine, before heading over to a venue for a 6-hour-long grindcore concert,
Right.
he put this CD in his player, and we were listening to it on the way there. And we would also listen to it in the time in between band setups. And I was honestly really blown away by just how incredibly heavy, really slow, just really foreboding type of music. And it's honestly the album that really got me to pay attention to the sludge metal subgenre in the first place. And I got a CD of it like shortly after my friend had played it for me. And then a couple of years after that, I was over at the North Anthony Boulevard wood nickel store. This was at least a couple of years before I had started working for the company. I was already kind of a regular at that particular store. But this was back when we had a particular vendor who would sell us records on commission. So in the event that, one of them like this would sell, we would pay him out like, X amount of dollars. But anyway, I was just mindlessly flipping through this consignment area one day, and then I was just utterly shocked to see a sealed original copy of Filth Pig for $11.99.
Oh, wow.
It was one of those no-brainer moments where I snatched it up, I put it on the counter, I'm like, yes, I am buying that.
Man.
So I'm
And it wasn't until after I got home and looked it up on Discogs.com, I looked up the catalog number to make sure it was an original indeed. And apparently, new sealed copies back then were going for about roughly $50 compared to the $12 that I paid for this copy. And, over the years, I would still keep it sealed. Maybe I was thinking in the back of my mind that it would become like this multi-$100 album that maybe I eventually could flip, but I can never bring myself to do so because I just love the music on this so much. And it wasn't until, about April or May of 2020, when we were all on quarantine lockdown, did I finally decide, you know what? This is mine forever. I don't ever want to sell this. I might as well open it and enjoy it at long last. Because I kept this sealed for about roughly, I want to say about 8 or 9 years before I finally cracked the seal on it and put it on my turntable and enjoyed the music on it.
Wow, man.
And it was one of those lessons that I had taught myself that, whatever vinyl that I do collect, I want to keep with me until the day I die.
Yeah, I wish we could play some of these albums, but damn these copyright infringements.
I know. And What we're gonna have to do is just go back and listen to this stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to know. I'm curious.
What's the
And this
history behind it?
But
makes
this is
wanna
how you
listen.
find out about things, you know.
And
This-
it makes you want to listen.
Right.
Now, back to what Cressy and everybody else says back in the day. When you go to a record store, the cover always kind of influences if you should listen to it.
Well, yeah.
And if I'm looking at this, I am interested.
Yeah.
I'm like, ministry. And what is that pen? And why is he holding the American flag? Like, I'm curious like that.
Well, it was the title "Filth Pig" was largely inspired from it was a member of British Parliament. I think his name was Ted Taylor, if I'm not mistaken. But at one point during their Parliament hearings or whatever they call them, he had called or at least name checked Al Jorgensen specifically and kind of singled him out as a filthy pig.
Oh, there you go.
You know, essentially the title is kind of like this metaphor for being kicked when you're already down.
Yeah.
Because this was the follow-up to their hugely successful album Psalm 69, which featured Just One Fix, which there was a music video for, as well as Jesus Built My Hot Rod, which is probably their biggest single up to that point in their career. And when it came time to create a follow-up album to that hugely successful album, everybody was expecting Al Jorgensen to essentially just kind of do Psalm 70, if you will, just another really hard, really fast, really catchy kind of album. But he's like, no, I'm not really in that kind of mood. I'm kind of steeped in this heroin addiction. It's really bad for me, and I know it, but I can't really stop it either. So essentially, he just made a sludge metal album. I mean, it's the bass guitar on this is just really hot. The guitar tone is just really just fuzzy in such a way that it just evokes hostility. I guess it's a very hostile album.
So if
Very
you want,
slow, very brooding.
so if you're on mushrooms, that's not going to be a good vibe. It's definitely.
it could.
That seems like that would be dark. That,
Very dark indeed.
Yeah. I don't like when you sugarcoat shit.
Marzak said, I have a WWF album with Derringer, Mean Gene Oakland, Hulk, Rowdy Piper.
Oh yeah, Roddy Piper.
Yeah. Have you ever recalled such album being out there from the WWF? I think there was an album for everything.
Well, I'm at least familiar with certain compilations that brought together a lot of the wrestlers' theme music. That's about as far as I know, anyway.
Yeah.
I really don't follow sports at all. Really, that's
You're not a sportsman, huh, Colin?
definitely not.
Oh, well, there you go.
I mean, I like golf, but it's also been many years since I've played.
Have you heard of the, let's see, what is he saying? This is Marzak again. The Blue Brothers album.
The Blues Brothers. Maybe
Blues or Blue Brothers? Check your phone and look at the comment.
a Spyro Gyro with the Girl in the Jungle. You ever hear of anything like that?
Oh, Spyro Gyra, Girl in Jungle. It sounds like they're talking about the Morning Dance album.
Is that what you're talking about? The Morning Dance album? Listen to me. Our guru in here, shit, he's good.
Shit, when did Wagyu sneak in here? God damn you, Wagyu. Bill and
Singing
Ted's
his favorite number.
You know about Bill and Ted's favorite number? Is that
No, I've at least watched Excellent Adventure many times, and Bogus Journey just once. I haven't seen the most recent.
Yeah, they had a new one.
I almost said album.
The trilogy, the movie.
Yeah, I'm even blanking on what the third movie was called.
Half God, Half Beast has a question. Was it Raven or Bass?
Paul Raven, well, it was Paul Barker who was on bass for Filth Pig. He would eventually leave ministry around 2002-ish when they were coming out with Animasa de Samana. Paul Raven actually would come into the band. Well, probably right around the time that Al Jorgensen was making the anti-Bush trilogy.
Okay.
Tracker Jack says he takes you as a he gets you as a hacky sacker.
A hacky sacker? No, not
No,
really.
not really. Huh?
Okay.
Well,
all right.
I usually kind of think of hacky sack in correlation to a bunch of hippie culture, which
Oh,
I'm
yes,
totally
yes,
not.
yes.
You're
hippie.
totally not that.
Wagyu says Face the Music is the name of the new one.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, he's right.
Synth Punk, what's up? So Marzak also says it was the Blues Brothers, Jake Elwood. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
That makes sense. I wish I had a Blues Brother album
That'd be
or the
dope.
soundtrack because Aretha Franklin was in that.
Yeah,
Who
Ray
else?
Charles was.
Ray
Ray
Charles.
Charles was in that. Yeah, that was a Diana Ross too, wasn't she? No. I'm thinking of The Wiz. Never mind.
T-Sketch, what's going on?
You ever see the movie The Wiz?
It was recently reissued on 4K through the Criterion Collection. I haven't seen it.
You
but
need to watch The Wiz. Michael
I've
Jackson.
you
I've
haven't
definitely
seen The Wiz?
The vinyl soundtrack.
Oh, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross. It's a rendition
Colin.
of The Wizard of the
Colin.
Coast.
Yeah.
Colin, stop.
But it's
Okay.
but it's Motown.
Stop. Lamar, stop.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
Colin, do you smoke weed?
On occasion, I
Colin, on the day that you smoke weed, you will come over here and you will smoke said weed with us. And we will sit you down. And we'll watch The Wiz.
The Wizard of Oz.
I'm gonna
for
tell
black
you right
music.
now.
No?
No. It's
The
The
Wiz.
The
Every
Wiz.
Don't you desecrate the name, sir.
every track,
Pure desecration.
every track
Go ahead.
that they play is a banger. Just imagine The Wizard of Oz, but being scored by Motown.
Well, that's essentially what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I do see that vinyl soundtrack come through my store every once in a
Every-
great
yeah.
while.
Oh,
damn.
It's not always in the best condition whenever I do see it, but I do see it regardless.
Yeah.
Okay.
God.
Yeah.
damn.
Every once in a great long.
You got to let me know if you see that album come through because, my sir.
Diana Ross, though, every time she's singing, it look like her ass getting ready to cry. She always
Yeah.
like,
Well, she also
crybaby ass singer.
in like the Billie Holiday biopic,
yeah.
"Lady Sings the Blues."
Yeah.
That was portrayed by Diana Ross.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor was also in that too.
He was.
Yes, he was.
He was.
And he was also in The Wiz, if I'm not mistaken.
Was he
Was
in The
he?
Wiz?
I don't.
I think he was.
Okay.
Okay, now I need the.
Somebody let
think
us
he-
know
he
if
might
Richard
have.
Pryor was
Yeah,
in The
but
Wiz.
fact check me on that. if you
Yeah, I
would,
don't think he
please.
was. He in The Wiz?
Was Richard Pryor in the movie The Wiz? Let us know.
Oh yeah, he was. He was the wizard.
Was he the wizard?
Yeah, he was lying to everybody and got caught. And I'm not going to tell you any more than that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, at the end, it was Richard's crazy ass.
Was it?
Yeah, I promise you.
Well,
I promise you.
Well, and during the month of July, Criterion Collection always puts their stuff out for 50% off. So it'd be a good opportunity to get a hold of The Wiz.
Okay. Well, I mean, I take your word for it.
Yeah, Wagyu was like, yeah, he is the Wiz. That's
Okay.
right. He was the Wiz.
Okay, Wagyu, don't say no more. Shit. Chrome, y'all stop that shit. Playing these games with you. Nobody asked you to look that shit up anyways. Okay, what else we got?
All right.
Over here participating in the conversation. How dare you?
How dare you? No one asked you to look any goddamn thing. Keep it to yourselves.
Now, this next album I was actually playing on Monday when you were visiting the store.
Okay. Well, oh, wait.
Do you
wait.
happen to remember what the band was?
Wait. It was, what were you playing? Because I asked, I said, and it was Cloudy Skies. And there was just something on it. It sounded like, man,
What's up, T Sketch?
like euphoric
really
rock type.
Far out psychedelic
Yeah.
oriented
The
music.
guitar playing
that's
was
it.
psychedelic,
yeah,
too.
that's also really good to play on an overcast day.
Right, yeah. It was
Not-
dope. It was dope enough for me to say, who the fuck is this?
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have the sunniest disposition. You know, it's still kind of a hippie-ish album, but you know, not like, you know, the peace and love type hippies. More like, I have problems with my mental state hippies.
Oh,
hippie
yeah.
music.
Yeah.
And
Mental
it
health is a
is.
bitch. Yeah, let's go.
Ultimate Spinach, Behold and See from 1968.
Yeah, that right there.
Ultimate Spinach. Now, this album looks like something
Okay.
I would pick
So
up.
that album cover looks like what I was listening to.
Yeah.
Oddly enough,
I got to listen to this.
oddly enough, that album cover looks like what I was listening to.
Ultimate Spinach.
100%. Behind and See.
Looks like Monkey Island. Looks just like Monkey Island.
I mean, it's a pretty well-respected psychedelic rock album from the 60s. It's not underrated, but it's definitely... it's not as well known as what I feel it should be.
Right. Do you want some fruit, Colin?
I would actually like some more of the
There you
purple
go.
drank.
And that sugar.
Wait, hold on.
Or did I screw up again?
What would you like some more of?
The purple drank.
There you go, my good sir. You're learning. You see, Colin first called it grape Kool-Aid. So I had to correct his vernacular as into a ghetto setting. If he ever said grape Kool-Aid, he would probably lose his life.
Well,
And they would think that he was some sort of fucking undercover. So purple drink,
which is
pass
100
me that Mary Jane, please,
yeah,
sir.
it's purple drink.
Which is 100% sugar free for you. It's healthy.
Yes.
Go ahead and drink all of it if you want.
Yeah.
There's no sugar, nothing going to harm you, make your dick fall out. Okay, who we got next? Or are you still going in on the story of this when we just pulled this out? What else do you got?
I don't necessarily have a story behind this per se, but when I did discover this album a few years ago, I think I might have even been through my mom for all I know, because she's also really into psychedelic rock from the mid 60s up until about the mid 70s. And I mean, I definitely paid a mint for this album. It was one of those things where the seller had like a buy it now price of like $120, give or take. But he also, left the door open for like an offer from somebody, like a respectable offer.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was definitely around like $95 to about $110 is what I paid for this. But as far as I'm concerned, it was worth every penny.
Yeah.
Who plays guitar in there? I think Chrome is saying, trust my monkeys. Look who plays guitar in it.
Who does play guitar?
If he's talking about this. I don't know what Chrome sometimes.
Unfortunately, it doesn't list the band members.
Who plays
There's
guitar?
no liner notes either.
Somebody Google
Apparently Chrome
Ultimate
knows.
Spinach.
Apparently Chrome knows.
Oh, does he? Well, who's the guitar player, Chrome, for fuck's sake?
Because it wasn't a question mark. He's yelling at me.
Jesus.
Who plays guitar in it, Chrome?
When the chat yells at you, let me tell you something, okay? Just stand by to stand
Jeff Skunk Baxter.
by. Jeff Skunk Baxter. Is that?
Oh, that name definitely sounds familiar. Because he was part of another bigger band. I'm just kind of blanking on who that might have been. I'm definitely familiar with the name, though.
Okay. Well,
Okay,
shit.
so Chrome is on to
Chrome
something
is on
here.
to something.
Chrome, who was he with formerly? Do you know? Let's see here. Let's see what
Saw
Chrome says.
Skunk in my first concert.
Oh, Doobie Brothers, 1977. Does that strike your fancy, Colin? The Doobie Brothers, 1977.
That probably does sound about right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, what are you looking at now?
Well,
That looks
because
like
when I initially got this in the mail, I took the record out of its sleeve. It did come in a protective sleeve initially.
Oh, Steely Dan. Yeah, Tracker Jack says Steely Dan. Yes. Okay.
Them too.
Him, yeah.
And I mean, because in a certain light, it doesn't look scratched at all, but there are
There's a bunch
definitely
of-
a lot of hairline scratches to this. I mean,
You think whoever had
And it's
that,
got the yin and the yang
and then
kind
there's
of like.
also that
yeah,
little
the
white
yin,
mark
the
there
yin
that
and the
definitely
yin
makes
and the
an
yang
audible.
thing? Is that the yin and the yang thing? Is that something you think they put in there subliminally, or?
No, that was just the MGM Records label.
Oh, was it?
Oh, let me
Yeah.
see that white mark on there. Is that pretty deep?
Yeah, it's deep enough to be heard.
Colin, you think whoever
shit.
owned this LP before you did a line of cocaine on there, and that's how it got scratched up?
They used a razor blade to try to get it off, and it didn't work as well as they thought it would.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
because,
right.
I
All
mean,
right.
in
Fair
a lot
enough.
of
Fair enough.
people's collections of used albums, I'll
fair.
find like these little white dots.
Yeah,
And you would think
of
that
course
they're
you do.
just little paper fragments that you can just wipe off, but
Right.
no,
They're not.
it's something that you kind of have to dig at your fingernail with.
Right, right. And be careful doing that.
Well, yeah,
you know what we call
exactly.
that? We call that the spritz of the cocaine. Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
what
It kind of hardens up there, and it
cocaine spritz.
just won't move.
Yeah.
Records forever high in that one section.
Yeah. Next time you get an album like that, just go ahead and put a wet finger on it and taste it.
Well, as it so happens, every once in a great
You
while,
get an album with cocaine on it and you taste it.
no, I will encounter a gatefold album of like either a Led Zeppelin album or whatever, where I open up the gatefold and there will be a bunch of marijuana seeds.
Oh,
inside.
yeah.
I would plant those to
sometimes
see if you
people would
didn't.
use gatefold albums to help
Yeah.
them roll up their reefer,
yeah.
their Mary Jane.
yeah.
Oh, they're reefers and they're Mary Janes. You hear what Colin is saying, people?
The reefers
The devil's lettuce.
and the merriest of Janes. I would plant them seeds.
Yeah,
and
you
next
never
time
know. Yeah.
You might find yourself something sticky icky in the future.
Icky. And they could very well be fertile.
I don't know. The seeds were kind of really brittle. Like if I press them between my fingers, they would just instantly crumble.
Yeah. Put a little spit on
But
it.
about a month ago, strangely enough, I was doing some cross checking with my Neil Diamond albums from the Overstock, just to make sure I had.
Hold on. That was the whitest motherfucking thing you could ever say.
I know.
A
I know.
Neil Diamond album.
I mean,
Did y'all hear what he
I
said?
like Neil Diamond.
Do you
man.
really?
I do.
Name one song by Neil Diamond.
You
motherfucking lie.
hold on. There's one song in particular that I really love by Neil Diamond.
Don't say Sweet Caroline. Everybody
No,
knows
no,
Sweet Caroline.
Wait,
Hang
Neil
on.
Diamond?
I'm trying to. Can I answer the goddamn question?
I didn't know that was Neil Diamond.
Okay,
I kind of like that song though.
Glenn Hansard did a great rendition of this song. You know who Glenn Hansard is? He's an Irish lad.
Kind of a folk guitarist.
Yeah. Glenn Hansard did a great song. Glenn Hansard and Eddie Vedder
Oh,
did a song by Neil Diamond, and it was called
I can't believe I'm playing a song by Neil Diamond.
No, hang on.
Of course, that's not it.
Oh, it was about a woman. Somebody help me out here.
It's about a woman. A Neil Diamond song about a woman.
God damn it.
Might have to be more specific.
That's what I was getting at.
Hang on. He went and bought, the lyrics suggested he went and bought her some shoes. And
Hell yeah, T. Twin be spazzing his ass out.
Velvet Gloves and Spit.
no. God damn it. Now I'm going to have to fucking Google it. And I don't like using Google. I'm trying to get my mind right. And I got.
Baby, you want me to put on some velvet gloves and spit on it? Baby. Is it that?
Haktua, spit on that.
Yeah,
thing.
Hakatua. I remember that girl, the Hakatua girl. Say,
Does she
mama.
still have her podcast? 'Cause I
don't
haven't heard
know.
anything about
Yeah,
the Haktua
no.
girl in a long time. I mean, for what it's worth, though, she was donating a lot of those proceeds to animal shelters.
Oh, was
so
she really?
She was
She had
doing it for a
So,
pretty good cause.
Not
so.
only was she good at sucking dick, but she was a very generous philanthropist.
A
like-
philandering
A
philanthropist.
philandering. You hear what Colin said? Hakatua. Say, mama, you want me to put on them velvet gloves? Put some spit on it?
Yeah, it's probably one of the more suggestive song titles in the Neil Young
Yeah, that
catalog.
sounds like he got it from a black dude in the 70s. Like he overheard.
Maybe.
He overheard some black people upstairs in the Bronx somewhere getting ready to do their thing. And he was like, that's a terrific fucking name to a song.
Well, in the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood soundtrack.
Drive All Night. That's the name of the fucking song.
Drive all night.
And I'll drive
All
all night again just to buy you some shoes and a kiss from. You know what the fuck I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, point
Not
at him.
really.
Right.
I'm
point
Fuck
at
you
him.
then.
Point
Well,
at him.
fuck
That's-
all you motherfuckers.
That's going to make it better when you point at him, right?
Admittedly, I'm far more familiar with Neil Young's catalog than I am Neil Diamond's.
Well, you're white. You're entitled to know some Neil Young.
Wait a minute. I think that was a Neil Young song, not Neil Diamond.
Yeah.
No, it was. Now I don't know. What kind of games are you playing here, sir?
All these
Play with your
meals.
mind.
I've been had, damn it. All you white people look alike and you sound alike.
Yeah.
And this
And
man
you
is snorting this shit.
And these dudes, they snort. White people snort.
Drive all night again just to buy you some shoes. First off, you a simping motherfucker if you'll drive all night.
To buy a bitch a pair of sneakers.
That's some simping shit.
You go drive all night when you can order that shit on Amazon.
You better have said something, done or paid or something before you went all that way just to buy a bitch some shoes.
I'm gonna drive all night
Okay.
just to buy you some loafers, baby.
Okay, sorry, Colin. We kind of
I got caught up in that shit. That don't make no damn sense.
okay. What else do you have in this box of yours, sir?
Baby, I'm gonna drive all night.
Because I'm a simping Negro just to buy you some shoes.
I'm gonna put them on your feet too.
Can I put your shoes on your feet with all them bunions?
Well, this
Okay.
next selection is also from Half Price Books, and I've only paid $10 for this particular one, but it's the MC5 Kick Out the Jams album that actually has the lead singer saying, "Kick out the jams, motherfucker," on the title track.
Oh.
Because this is from 19...
Would you say it's flagrant?
Well,
Yeah.
it's meant to be...
Yeah.
you know,
Anybody else know some MC5? Because I'm lost.
I'm lost
as
in the
fuck
sauce,
right
too.
now.
Yeah, they're definitely a Detroit band. I want to say that came out in '69.
It looks like
I'm
it came
pretty
out
sure
in
it came out
'69 by the writing, the look on people's faces as that you can tell LSD or some sort of hallucinogenic drug is taking control over their bodies and minds.
I mean, they probably were a drug oriented band.
Probably my ass, Colin. I'm looking at them right now.
I'll
But
take it
they
up
did
there.
have some political inclinations to some of their music as well, and the declaration of "kick out the jams, motherfucker." It was definitely a potent one. One of the more memorable aspects of their entire career, frankly. But as you would imagine, this being 1969, it wasn't really acceptable to put something like that on the record.
Well, Crumb says
Similarly, also from the Elektra label was the Doors' self-titled album.
oh, really?
Which featured the song "The End," where towards like about roughly 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through the 11-minute epic song "The End," you can hear Jim Morrison in the background going, "Fuck, fuck, fuck me, baby, fuck, fuck, fuck." Just kind of
Was he doing that shit too? Like, huh?
yeah. Well, I mean, those
like
parts
that.
also got censored
Yeah.
in the original vinyl copies of that album. And even when Rhino Records did represses of The Doors, unfortunately, it's still censored. Like, even in this day and age, the line, "she gets high" from "Break On Through the Other Side," even that was still censored. So there's only like maybe just a few thousand copies of the Doors album that actually has all those, parts I just mentioned intact.
Right.
But yeah, MC5 Kick Out the Jams. This is indeed, I'm pretty sure it is an original copy because even in the liner notes here, as you can see,
Oh,
it says,
yeah.
"Kick out the jams, motherfucker."
Here,
there.
I'll show them that. Tracker Jack's asking, did the KLF sample that?
I'm familiar with the KLF, but oh man, it's been so long. One of the only albums of theirs I listened to was White Room.
Is Zaphoid Beeblebrox in his music career?
That was a character from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. I'm lost with when Wagyu throws shit in the chat. You just got to read what he's putting in there, not knowing what the fuck it is he's talking about. He's also impressed that
Beeblebrox,
yeah, he's also impressed.
Hitchhikers.
He's also impressed that you are unfazed by our antics. Was that a cat?
I'm a go along, get along type of guy.
You hear that, Wagyu? He's a go along, get along type of guy. Chrome says, let me see here. Chrome says,
What does Chrome say?
He says, I know of MC5, first punk band.
One of them, actually. Yeah.
MC5 and the Stooges were the Detroit punk rockers.
And Stooges also were off of the Elektra music label, too.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of great stuff was coming out of Elektra Records in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, definitely, well, the Stooges in particular, I mean, God, they're one of my favorite bands, and Funhouse is one of my all-time favorite albums. You know, anything that was, you know, kicking all the hippy-dippy love bullshit out on its ass, and, you know, really introducing some really hard rock riffs that, you know, just make you want to fight and fuck on the floor.
No shit.
I mean, that is definitely the album. It's one of the most energetic albums I know of. Even the slower song off of that album, Dirt, is still just this really...
I'm gonna be honest, Colin. I'm gonna be honest, Colin.
Fail
I'm
me.
gonna be honest. I ain't never heard no song in my life that said, Lamont, we're gonna fuck on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's some wild shit. You got a wild mind, sir.
Ass mind.
I like it. It's very,
admittedly, I kind of need to attribute that particular quote to Henry Rollins, because he did talk about the Stooges. Like that, and he was like, "Yeah, it's music that makes you want to fight and fuck on the floor." And I absolutely agree, which is why you know, I said it just now.
I would have said Black Flag could easily do that on their own accord. Right?
I mean,
well, yeah, I mean they. I don't know how popular they were with the women back in the 80s. Well, you know, there were always punk rock chicks, you know, some goth chicks who were probably into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard some songs, or some blues songs at least, where I wanted to go in the kitchen and cook up some grits.
Yeah, I mean, hell, and fry up some goddamn pork chops.
Since we admitting things like this, I wanted to go in the kitchen and cook up some damn grits, y'all.
I heard some blues songs where I wanted to go out and find a goddamn bullfrog and fry it.
Yeah, I mean,
frog legs.
Since we admitting shit, let's go.
Let's get in it.
What else you got on the MC5?
Well, MC5, they really only ever put out just like a very small handful of studio albums. Other ones being Back in the USA and High Time. Recently, Fred Sonic Smith. He had recently passed away, but before he did actually call together another MC5 album that was released just a few years ago. And it's definitely the last MC5 album, period. Fred Sonic Smith, he was in a relationship with... Shoot, it just escaped me.
Wagyu says, I saw Iggy live in 1998. He was like a hyperactive skeleton wrapped in skin. That's a sight, right?
Always performing shirtless.
Yeah. At one point, he climbed up the speaker stack just so he could start doing press-ups on top of that bad boy.
Or humping it, too. He was known to, you know, hump a lot of
audio equipment. He was just a rapid-ass dog then.
Absolutely.
T-Sketch says, lying on the floor is good for your back. So 2 bonuses?
2 bonuses.
Not only are you getting off, but you over here lying on your back.
And Miss T, I'm a have to put this on your brain here. Don't tell the audience what you do in your own place, please, cause we got vivid imaginations.
And we done already pictured your ass naked with your spouse. We done already pictured that shit.
Fucking on the floor.
Hell, some of us are probably right now joining in on the fun in their own minds.
Yeah, so I bet you won't bring that up again. Go ahead, Colin.
Good way to get carpet burns, too.
It is. Yeah, it is.
It is.
If you have carpet or if you like to wear knee. Hey, when you do it on the floor, do you wear knee pads?
But it's good for your back. Pull out another goddamn piece of vinyl, would you?
You got it.
It's good for your back.
Now, this next one is from 9 Inch Nails. I couldn't really go this particular topic without bringing up 9 Inch Nails, of course.
I'm a fan.
I very much love Trent.
Yes.
And, some of the still photographs I've been seeing for his most recent Peel It Back tour just looks amazing. And I kind of wish that I could go, but unfortunately tickets were quite expensive.
I bet.
Okay, here's an interesting fact. When I was working in the EMS world, we got a call to what we call bid count partner at the time, his name is Art. I won't give his last name, but we get a call. It says, go to Big County, pick up a 5150, transport this person to like Norwalk or something, right? A locked facility. We get in the hospital to Big County. Big County is USC Medical Center. It's where all the doctors intern at.
Right.
So we get in there, and we're getting this patient ready. And then one of the orderlies, is that I don't know.
Yeah.
Nurse's assistant said, hey, you guys know who Trent Reznor is? I go, yeah. He goes, go look 3 doors down. Right? So me and Art was like, what the fuck? So we go and look, and the doors are locked doors. They're locked, padded doors. And we go down, and we go 3 doors down, and we look in, and there he is sitting on the fucking bed, looking mad.
Oh,
Like out of his gorgonzola. I wasn't really familiar with the music he produced it until after I saw and witnessed that shit fest.
So around what year would this have been?
This would have been, let's see, 2002.
Because if it was indeed the early 2000s, I mean, yeah, that would make sense. He had,
it might have been
he had a
2000.
yeah.
2001.
Yeah, he did have a terrible alcohol and cocaine addiction, and he had accidentally bought some pure China White heroin.
China White!
That it was.
Hold on.
He thought it was cocaine.
Oh,
but
no.
Unfortunately, it was
Wait,
heroin.
hold on,
and
hold on,
unfortunately, he overdosed.
Hold on. Wait up. China White.
That shit do sound popular.
Bro, say that out your mouth as a Baptist.
China White.
The Lord.
This man had some China White on him.
The Lord pat down his pockets and said, where's my China White?
He thought he was putting cash in the collection plate, but the brother put in some China White.
As your reverend is tracking his makeup.
Well, you sniff some China White, it's gonna lay you up for at least a week or more.
Is it?
It's pure.
Pass around
stuff.
my collection
It
plate.
is potent.
Damn. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
About his
I'm
drug
sorry.
addiction.
Yeah, we got crazy. But go ahead, man.
But so yeah, it definitely makes sense that he would be in a facility like that in the very early 2000s. He was just trying to kick drugs and alcohol, just trying to get his shit together. Because it was also right around that time where he was just kind of thinking that maybe he was done with music. Maybe he didn't really have it in him anymore. And, especially getting sober, I mean, there was definitely like this element of fright of, does he even still have the ability to write great songs?
But see, that goes back to what I've been saying in the past, in past conversations. Was it, yes, I believe that drugs can enhance someone's playing and their thought process as far as letting it go. But I also believe drugs come in a debilitating ways when the user doesn't know how to take things in moderation. When it becomes an addiction is when it just takes you, right? But when you use it responsibly, can we agree on this subject that, it may be an enhancer into one's own ability and skill?
Well, to paraphrase something that Hunter S. Thompson once said, I've never really condoned drugs or alcohol as a means of, writing better than what you normally would, or if you're a musician, playing better than what you normally would. But it's always worked for him.
Right. But that's what we know Jimi Hendrix as a guy who would frequently use acid and make great fucking music. Like no one complained, right?
It can open doors.
It can open doors. But when it's not used in moderation,
or abused.
And when it's abused, period, I think that's where most of the musicians lose themselves.
Well, speaking of Jimi Hendrix, it's long since been rumored or even confirmed at this point that for his Woodstock performance, he wears that bandana around his head, right? Well, before the show, he had taken a razor blade and made a couple of small cuts in his forehead and then put some LSD on his bandana, wrapped around his head, put it on real tight. flying throughout most of his performance.
Oh, see, but I mean, maybe that's what made Jimi Hendrix treat that guitar the way he did.
Playing it left-handed too, biting the fretboard, playing it behind his back, up his ass, in and out of his ball sack.
Maybe it just gave him a different perspective on reality.
Maybe.
And for him, he was able to manipulate things and have this wide range of understanding,
right? Like
an expansive consciousness.
Yeah, it took away all the blockers,
right?
Like there,
and allowed him to really just take it somewhere where a lot of people were not going.
And he could have just been like, I get it. You ever like a mathematician comes up with this profound like
theorem.
Yeah. Thank you, my brother. Shit, I knew you was good.
I got your back.
And he goes, I fucking get it. It opens up all the doors. I imagine LSD or ayahuasca or DMT or mushrooms has that innate ability. Am I wrong here by thinking like that, Colin? Go on, talk to me.
What you got?
Well, I mean, it certainly lowers the inhibitions that would otherwise prevent you from being more creative than you otherwise would have been.
Getting you out of your own way, per se.
Well, I mean, yeah, there were certainly a lot of nights where I spent like, stoned out of my mind on some really good weed and just, farting around on my bass or my guitar through GarageBand and coming up with what I thought to be at the time really impressive sounding stuff. But then like the next day, of course, I would be sober and I would listen back to what I just played and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm kind of getting the right idea, but it's not really like the mind-blowing originality that I thought it was.
Colin says, when your ass gets too fucking high,
He tricked himself.
and you think your music is banging, wait until you sober, play that bitch back, and then give it a second hear.
Think again.
Yeah, I mean, in one of the 2 times that I did acid, a friend of mine encouraged me to, strap on my bass and just start, fiddling around with stuff. I did have GarageBand hooked up at the time. And, what I was coming up with at the time, just made me go, oh my God, this is really awesome. 'Cause at that point in the acid trip, I was like, just rattling from all the energy that it was giving me. I mean, just the intense buzz that I was getting in my body was just amazing.
Virus Music says that Hendrix was also mad technical before LSD. It was so natural to him already. Now you see, and you add a little bit of fucking mixture to that, a little bit of gas and oil to that 2-stroke, you're going to outperform. I think that's what he did. He enhanced his performance.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, the mixture of innate talent with psychedelic drugs, it can lead to some very forward-thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
You heard it from Colin.
Well, you're the only one in this room that has first-hand experience what acid does. I have zero inclination,
experience.
so I'm going to trust your word on it.
Well, would you like me to briefly just kind of do like a step-by-step as to what an acid trip entails?
Well, shit if you don't. Let's go.
Let me eat some more goddamn pineapple.
Let's go. Shit.
All right, well, because in both times that
You
I've
want
done
some great drink real quick?
I'll have a
Hell
sip,
yeah,
too,
you
just
will.
just kind of,
Hell yeah, you will. Hell
moisturize. So I don't have like, dry
Yeah, you
lips,
don't
going
want to dry
into the
mouth. Yeah,
microphone.
hell yeah, you don't want no dry
Just do
mouth.
some purple drink.
Heck, everybody don't like no dry mouth.
You know damn well they don't like no dry mouth.
Not even your mama like a dry mouth.
Shit, not even your mom.
So you guys really haven't done acid before?
No, man.
Does it look like the two of us need to be on a fucking
Acid
LSD trip?
We already
I mean-
on acid. We was born on
I
acid.
mean, you're in a good setting for it. I mean, you got lots of wide open.
Don't do that with monkeys that will try anything, good sir.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But anyway,
Yeah,
and,
go ahead.
and both the times I've ever done acid, it was like
Wait,
a
hold on.
2-tab type thing.
I think we're going to have to plug in Buddha for this
Oh,
shit,
shit.
because you're
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
get spiritual. Here we go.
Right.
Come on, you little fat ear, pop belly, big titty motherfucker. Let's get this done. Don't fix shit now. We'll wait till we get to it later.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, go
ahead.
on.
Well, in both times I ever did it, it was like a 2-tab experience. And what you do is, put the 2 tabs under your tongue so that the blood vessels under your tongue can absorb the acid quicker, more efficiently.
Oh, shit.
And then, you essentially just kind of wait for about 20, 30 minutes, give or take. And then I remember it originating somewhere in the guts. Like it's this very warm, fuzzy vibration coming from your abdomen area.
That's where the soul lives, they say. Where's Dalsify at? He would prove it. Go ahead. I'm listening.
And then from there, it just kind of spreads outward. Because the first time I did it, I mean, I had absolutely no idea what to expect from any of it, really. I just knew I wanted to do it. And
So no one said, okay, Colin, I realize you want to do acid. Okay, here's what to expect. Let me walk you through this. They just gave you acid and just said acid.
Well, I mean, everyone's own experience is unique.
This is true.
Depending on your mindset,
True.
what kind of goals that you might have set in mind for
But there's
your
no
acid trip.
there's no basic pamphlet you get that says this shit could cause euphoric or like some sort of common denominator as a symptom with this shit.
I mean, my only knowledge of acid is what I had seen in certain movies where characters are tripping on acid.
Yeah,
and,
Fear and
they
Loathing in Las
have like
Vegas.
these incredibly vivid auditory and visual hallucinations.
Okay, but yours started with the stomach first. Let's let him get through this, man. Okay.
You got it, brother.
Let's go.
Yeah, it starts out in the abdomen, definitely, and it just feels like this really warm, fizzy sensation in your guts that eventually just kind of spreads outward. And then about roughly 45 minutes and an hour and after you've initially taken it, you start to feel like incredibly euphoric, like you just can't stop laughing at just the most inane stuff. Like I took the tabs of acid. I started to feel, really warm and nice inside, and I decided to, take a shower. After I get back from taking my shower, I remember closing the door of my bedroom, and I just kind of remember like gently knocking my head against the door repeatedly because I just kind of like the sensation of it. But I found that I just was not able to stop laughing at all.
Yeah.
By this time, my friend who had, given me the acid, he said that, here, just take this. I'm gonna go out real quick, get a haircut, and I'm gonna come right back because he was my trip buddy.
Right.
He was gonna essentially supervise me throughout this. We lived together at the time too,
Okay.
and easily one of the best friends I've ever had. We call each other our brother from another mother type of friendship. Love the dude to death, and he's never done me wrong in that aspect. So I could immediately trust his judgment and trust him to help guide me throughout this psychedelic journey. And so for about roughly an hour and a half or more after you initially take the acid, I mean it's essentially like this roller coaster where you're just kind of going up, 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 up. Very euphoric, finding everything just to be the most hilarious shit imaginable.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of level off at that, particular level for at least a few hours. And I mean, it also kind of plays hell with your memory too, because I don't really have the best memories of what exactly I was doing during my acid trip. But for about roughly, 4 or 5 hours after you initially take the acid, that's when you peak, so to speak, where all those really nice euphoric feelings that you've been experiencing up to that point, it just kind of culminates in this orgasmic sensation of total euphoria, and you just kind of have this sensation like, wow, yes. And then after you experience that, that's when you start to just kind of gently come down from it. So the entire experience, even after only 2 tabs of acid, it's enough to last for about roughly 12, 13 hours-ish.
Good God.
And during that time, you don't really develop an appetite for anything.
I imagine you don't.
What do you do with yourself for 12 hours? What do you just sit
become
and-
one with nature, essentially.
Become one with so
shit.
do it outdoors.
Listen to a bunch of music. Well, another aspect I remember of my first acid trip was playing Beastie Boys' License to Ill. I had the vinyl record for it. Obviously, you're supposed to play it at 33 RPM, but I was playing at 45 RPM.
Oh, shit.
And just being like totally entranced, but also just finding, the Beastie Boys' voice at like that higher pitch be absolutely hilarious. I'm pretty sure I listened to the entire album at 45 RPM just because I was just totally enamored by it. But, for 12 or 13 hours, it's usually advisable to be in a more, nature setting. Maybe you feel like you want to communicate to the flowers or the various trees around you. If you're near like a body of water, you probably don't want to swim per se, but you at least kind of want to wade into a river, like maybe up to your knees per se, to feel the sensation of water around you. And, on occasion you might, have a very profound insight at with yourself, figuring out who you are as a person, how you fit into the grander scheme of the world around you. Just basically like that. I mean, that was, definitely my goal going into this acid trip. It wasn't, just to have fun, but, just to kind of develop more confidence within myself.
Did you feel like you made some sort of communication with plant life? Like there was an actual or a legitimate connection, like as far as a conversation or an understanding? Did you feel that way? Was it something?
Well, the connection I felt was more, say, metaphysical, metaphorical, maybe, because it's not like, I was talking to the plants and I could hear them talking back at me. I mean, my acid trips were never of the level where I was, having auditory or visual hallucinations. I was kind of looking forward to that aspect of it, but it never really happened. It was more along the lines of just kind of plugging myself into this universal consciousness that we all share as just one unit of humanity.
Damn,
that's about the best way I can really explain it.
Shit.
So I'm laughing because T-Sketch is with me. You said you had this really great friend. This dude gives you acid. And then he's like, I'll be back, my boy. I'm going to get my hair cut.
Well, because he didn't really anticipate being gone that long,
right.
Because he knew that it would take some time for me to, start to feel high from it.
But was he not worried about you for your first time? Like, maybe I better stick around for a few hours, see how this dude favors.
Not just immediately like, here you go, now I'm going for a haircut.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the time, it seemed like he was gone for hours, but
of course he was.
In all reality, it was probably only about roughly 30, 45 minutes.
Oh, so you lose all sense of time.
Exactly. I mean, by the time he came back home to, kind of look after me, I was just starting to feel those really warm, fuzzy vibrations in my goatee what's, to quote Clockwork Orange. And then, the euphoric feelings that, followed soon afterwards.
Who recommended the dose? How many tabs did you take?
It was the friend, because he had tripped acid at least a few times. And I mean, he was awesome in the sense that he never peer pressured me into it. I mean, fortunately, I have the kind of friends who do like to do drugs, but they're not the ones that are like, you need to do this or elsewise we're not hanging out with you anymore. You're going to be like a square. You're a narc or something.
Yeah.
It was never, ever like that at all.
Straight up fucking narc, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, it wasn't until I persuaded myself to, kind of take that leap of faith and, try marijuana for the first time or try shrooms for the first time or try LSD for the first time. It was always, more along the lines of an encouraging approach.
Okay.
Never pressure.
If we have any kids or any addictive behavior people in this chat, do not take drugs. We do not condone this.
Not on this channel. Not on this podcast.
It really isn't for everyone.
It's not for everyone. Drugs are a very bad thing. You do not want to do any drug ever in your life. Don't do it. It's very bad. You're not missing out on anything. Anything at all.
Yeah, just live your life as enough drug is all you need.
That's all you need. You don't want to be tempted. You don't want to even know what it's like. It's very, very bad. It's demonic.
Especially for children. I mean, you need to give your brain some time to develop before potentially.
Yes, you heard it. You heard it. Horrible. You heard it here.
But I will say this. I mean, some shrooms every now and then ain't hurting nobody.
Gonna hurt you.
It ain't hurting nobody.
It's
I
medicinal.
mean, I do remember retching quite a lot when I was on shrooms, if only because you're literally being food poisoned.
Right.
In that regard. So, I mean, and also the shrooms that I did have at the time, they were really, really crappy ones. Of course, they didn't even tell me that until long after.
Yeah.
Taken them.
But those are some great
we
friends
gave you some
got.
shitty gold caps.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but that's the best we could do for right now.
Right. Everything, as Chrome said, everything in moderation.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be like John Lennon in the late 60s and do acid 1,000 times and pretty much melt your brain.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you think happened to him?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Shit.
It's, what he's saying is it's a possibility.
I mean, it could very well have been acid that persuaded him to make the wedding album with Yoko Ono.
Oh,
the one
yeah.
where they appear buck naked on
Yeah.
the
Oh,
cover.
yeah.
You see John
Do
Lennon's
you have
little
that?
wang.
Do you have that?
No,
No.
I
Okay.
don't.
Because Yoko lost
Even
her
if I did
goddamn
have
mind.
easy
Yeah.
access to that album,
Yeah.
I would definitely pass on it. It's just really abstract to the point where it's just fundamentally it's just dicking around.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
should
really
have
interested in
left that shit in the closet.
It's
Yeah.
garbage.
I mean,
Yeah.
at least with Revolution #9 off of the White Album, it's more meant to be a sound collage. I mean, it's definitely an abstract piece of music that goes on for at least 8 minutes, but there is a certain continuity to it. I mean, it wasn't just slapped together. I mean, this was purposely edited in such a way where it's a trip experience.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. All right. What else we got in the crates? Let's go.
Okay, so coming back around to 9 Inch Nails,
Dig it in the crate.
Stick it in the crate.
I have the Slip on vinyl.
The slip.
And it is an original from 2008, around the same time that the album itself was available for streaming. It was an album that Trent Reznor had put up on the 9 Inch Nails website as a free download. The message that came with it was, thanks for, riding with me all these years. This one's on me. So physical copies came out maybe just a couple months after the album was released online for streaming or free download. And this was back when, not a whole lot of industry insiders really knew how to combat the internet problem when it came to music distribution.
Right.
With Napster and all that, and LimeWire, FrostWire, what have you.
That pirate shit. Yeah.
The pirate shit. Yeah, indeed. It wasn't until many years after did, somebody like Steve Jobs figure out, well, you can download music online for free, but will it actually sound good? Like, is the bit rate for these files enough to make, or at least is the bit rate enough to make these songs, really pop? Because otherwise, if you're downloading something at 128 kilobytes per second, you're going to have what's known as pixelation, particularly of any sort of drum cymbals that you might hear. It just sounds really fuzzy, almost kind of distorted. Kind of sounds like crap, really. But anyway, with the Slip, not only was it a free album, it was also kind of put together rather quickly, and only ever 250,000 copies were pressed on CD, and I have it on CD as well. It also came with a DVD of live rehearsals, etc. But the Slip is particularly special to me in the sense that I remember stopping into the Wooden Nickel store on North Clinton Street with my dad, and I think it might have been something along the lines of a graduation present. No. Probably here's for doing a good job in your junior year type of present. I think it was only $29.99 at the time.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you definitely can't get a hold of that album these days.
Oh man. So I'm that's a gem where it's what we're holding.
Exactly. And back in 2008, when I initially picked up this album, Wooden Nickel on North Clinton Street, they only had just the one row of vinyl. That was it. That's all they had. I mean, it was primarily CDs at that point. And, this happened to be one of the few albums that they were stocking on vinyl, along with Radiohead's In Rainbows album I've actually bought too. But it just reminds me of a time where, Wood Nickel, or at least, the music industry as a whole
Wait,
was
wait.
only just starting.
Was that Karma Police on that Radiohead back then? Was that on that album?
That was off of OK Computer.
Okay, Computer.
Yeah.
Otherwise, In
Yeah.
Rainbows came out in 2007. And again, when it was released with online with a sort of tip jar where you could actually download it for free if you wanted.
Yeah.
But, if you felt as though it was worth a certain amount of money, then you could pay that certain amount of money.
Oh, okay. So
Hence the
they
whole
left it
tip
open.
jar
Yeah,
aspect
yeah.
to it. Like I said, this was released around the time where, music industry was just kind of figuring out how do we make music profitable again on the internet. And, I definitely liked Trent's approach, where he also kind of had like an online tip jar of sorts. And, this is also back when vinyl was only just starting to make a resurgence in popularity. Because I don't think Record Store Day was going to become a thing until about maybe a couple years after that. So about roughly 2009, 2010, somewhere in there. So if anything, this album does have a kind of historical significance to me of being an example of a time where there was just still a lot of uncertainty in the music industry in terms of getting music out and actually expecting to get money off of it. And I mean, the music on it is really good as well. I definitely think it's one of the more underrated Nine Inch Nails albums out there. I just have a lot of good memories tied to it. Definitely makes me think of high school. Around that time at Carroll High School, they were doing renovation work where for many years, I mean, we didn't have ceiling tiles. I mean, you look up and you can see like the just wires for days, just seeing like the inner workings of the inner electrical workings of the school.
Damn.
Of course, I didn't get to enjoy any of these renovations when they finally finished them.
Right,
They didn't finish them until about roughly a couple years after I had already graduated. So my memories of Carroll High School are mostly like no ceiling tiles, the occasional funky smell coming from a certain area of the building, like if they were pouring tar on the roof or something.
You got all that.
Oh yeah, and the occasional noise of like drills or jackhammers that would occasionally interrupt the lessons or lectures and whatever. But the slip, anytime I put it on now, I'm instantly transported back to circa 2008. Towards the end of my run in high school.
Damn, making me feel old as hell.
Damn, I can't believe it's been that damn long though. What else we got?
Yeah, what else you got up
And
in
one last thing,
shit.
the vinyl was pressed in such a way where it's very quiet pressing, and of course, since I've had it in my collection for 15 years, you drop the needle on it, it definitely has acquired some surface noise over the years, but the recording on it is it's quiet. I mean, I definitely have to turn the volume up on it significantly. So this probably also was, a sort of relic of an era where, vinyl represses hadn't quite figured out how to make the music sound exactly how it should, like a high fidelity pressing, so to speak. But, it's very special to me for that reason. And again, I'm holding on to that album until the day I die.
Yeah. Like all of them, right? I hope you hold on to
Well, all of them, really,
Right,
because
yeah.
anytime I've ever traded in records, either to Wood and Nickel for store credit or selling them off to half-price books, so I could get cash for a newer repress of it. There have been a lot of times where I've actually kind of regretted, whatever I have traded off or sold off or whatever. I haven't sold any records in a very long time. In 2023, I was definitely on a mission to upgrade a lot of some older pressings of older albums that I enjoyed, but they were definitely kind of in raggedy shape. So I wanted to get the big boy new represses. So I definitely have a lot of duplicates that I'm going to be trading off here eventually, but for the most part, I'm keeping whatever I buy.
Right.
Oh, I get
yeah.
you.
Yeah. I'll never sell off anything ever again.
Yeah, there was definitely a time where I was collecting just to collect for the sake of it. And believe me, I ran out of space very quickly. And, you know, when I was going back through my collections of stuff, because, you know, the friend of mine that I was living with at the time, you know, he definitely would come into my room every so often and, you know, just kind of muse about how, like, I had, you know, records in the closet. I had records in the entertainment center. I had records, you know, lining the walls of my bedroom. It was definitely unwieldy, and I didn't really have a whole lot of, you know, comfortable space in which to live within that bedroom. So he encouraged me to, you know, sit down one afternoon and just figure out which ones are really relevant to me personally. As it turns out, there's quite a lot of, you know, filler junk in my collection that I collected because, you know, certain albums were featured in Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time, or, you know, Pitchfork's 100 best albums of the, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. Stuff that I was collecting in the hopes that I would come around to the music on them, but just wasn't really for me for one reason or another. So eventually I did sell off a lot of those albums, and those I don't necessarily regret doing. You know, it's all about finding the record that is fitting of the particular time and place in your life right now. It's a kind of a ways and means of charting your own personal growth.
I remember I used to have, this is back when we had CD books. And I had so many CDs, and if I was to go on a trip, I made sure to hand pick the ones that'll get me through the trip, right? So I used to put all the ones I wanted in my little small book, not the big one, because you knew that's all you had. I mean, you had the radio station, but depending on where you're going, they were playing the mainstream bullshit.
I had a 5-disc player.
Yeah, we had shit like that.
Yeah.
But back then, you had your hand-selected music. Now, because it's all digital, now I can just let my goddamn phone play, and it brings up my genre of music, and it'll keep going infinitely.
Yeah.
And you'll never run out of a rotation that best suits the genre that you were listening to.
Yeah, digital, yes. But when you're at home,
sky's the limit.
it's when tangible things.
Yeah, that's when the LPs come out.
Where you can sit there and just listen to some vinyl is dope. Like, that's the whole thing I'm trying to get back right now.
Yeah.
I don't own one. I sold all of my CDs. I got rid of all of them, hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Tapes. I've never really got into collecting vinyl per se, but I can't remember since we've been going to the Wooden Nickel, but I cannot remember the last time I physically owned any piece of music.
Right. I don't know what the last CD I bought was. I think it would have been it probably would have been a Dave Matthews album. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I'm probably with you there.
I think that's what it was. In 2008-ish, it was the Grugrux King.
Yeah, that was 2008.
Yeah. Yep. I think that was my last album purchased.
I would like to think my last CD purchase was, and for some reason I remember this, it might have been Charlie Parker or Keb Mo, the blues artist. Because I was really into blues in the last phase of having or owning tangible products, you know? I was really deep into blues because I was on the harmonicas a lot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. What else we got?
Damn.
Well, this next selection is one of my all-time favorite albums. You know, criminally underrated, I would say. It's from the mid-90s, and it is White Zombie.
Oh,
Pre-2000.
man, Rob Zombie.
I liked all those clown movies. What was that he made?
The House of a Thousand
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, that shit
Devil's
was-
Rejects.
Devil's
which is
Rejects was
celebrating
crazy.
Its 20th
Yeah.
anniversary this year.
Really?
Zombie was and people, again, the stigma, Rob Zombie is racist. And that was so far from the truth.
Right.
And what
Who
was
was
his
saying that he was racist?
Oh, we heard that growing up. Like,
in California.
yeah.
And then his brother, Power Man 5000.
yeah, Spider.
Spider.
Yeah, Power Man 5000. You remember that shit?
Loving that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Astro Creep 2000 is an album that I've been listening to steadily for the last 30 years. I distinctly remember having to beg my parents for weeks on end for them to get me the CD through Columbia House. And when it finally did come in the mail, I mean, it rarely ever left my clutches. You know, because I not only did I really love the music that was on it, and you know the music video to "More Human Than Human," but even just the album art, I'm just even to this day I still really love the color scheme of the album art, and you know it's very fitting for the music that's on it too. I mean, I have like virtually most aspects of that particular album just memorized. So if
Dig through the ditches, burn through the
witches. Yeah,
Can't get enough. Back of my, was it Dracula or something?
Dracula.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Back
that was
of my
from his
Dracula.
debut solo
That's what it
album.
was.
Yeah, Hellbilly Deluxe from
Hellbilly
98.
Deluxe. That oh shit. What was the Power Man 5000 jam? It was like a hit single. They never really made it that far.
Well, it was from the album Tonight the Stars Revolt. It was you
Creature
ready
of
to
the
go?
Wheel.
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
When Worlds Collide.
When
that's,
Worlds Collide.
That's the one that I was thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I bought that particular vinyl copy at the Fort Wayne Record and Tape Show. It's this quarterly thing where a bunch of vendors get together at the Classic Cafe off of Hillegas Road, and I mean,
Grease
you
paint and monkey brains.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Eternian on this shit, boy. Eternian on it. He said, I'm on it.
Yeah, it is an original pressing. It's also a blue vinyl copy, and I got it at the Fort Wayne Record and Tape Show for $40, which I consider to be a steal for an original of Astro Creep 2000 on blue vinyl. Of course, at least a couple of years after I acquired that particular copy, that's when Music on Vinyl had done represses of both Los Exorcisto and Astro Creep 2000.
What do you know about Rob Zombie? You know anything about his childhood or how he was raised or anything like that? You got any
Well, I
fun
do
facts?
know that he was raised, because one of his parents was involved in a traveling carnival show. There was a particular instance where the carnival, one of the tents had caught fire, and then just all chaos just broke loose, and he distinctly remembers somebody bashing another guy in the face with a hammer.
Oh, wow.
He
doesn't that
talked
sound
about
interesting?
it on his episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, and I mean, as a kid, I mean, he was always really enamored with just pretty much any films in particular, but he gravitated more often to a lot of the cult horror films of the 70s, 80s, and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
They definitely make a lot of references to them, and both White Zombie and his own solo work as well. Definitely a lot of audio samples taken from movies like Dawn of the Dead or I Drink Your Blood. Just a whole bunch of them were used as audio samples for White Zombie's two major label albums. Unfortunately, White Zombie itself more or less imploded in the mid-90s, and they never really reunited as a band for anything again. I mean, it's purely been Rob Zombie for at least like the last 30 years or so. But Astro Creep 2000, again, it's a pretty hot link to my childhood, and I mean, I've just listened to this album so many times throughout the years that if ever I found myself in a jail environment and I was like forced to spend time in solitary confinement, well, I could at least play this album in my mind.
Oh, wow. So it's that ingrained.
It very much so.
Let me ask you this, Colin, because I God damn, you're in it, okay? You're rooted into the music. They say you have to go to Mars. We can get you back, that's fine, but you got to go by yourself. The journey's going to be a year. What album? You only get 3 albums to take.
Oh, you give them 3? The other people got 1.
You only get 1 album.
Just one album to enjoy throughout an entire year.
And it could be anthology. What are they called?
Like a various artist compilation mix.
One album. What do you take?
Like a almost kind of like a desert island disc question. Only it's on a more.
It's just until the rest of your collection gets to Mars when they finally ship it.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's a good way of putting that. Well, if I did have to enjoy just one album for that year-long span while I waited for the rest of my collection to come by, probably 9 Inch Nails' The Fragile.
Really?
The double album from 1999, because it is an hour and 45 minutes long, and it is it's not an eclectic experience per se, but there's at least enough material to really engage me for a long-term situation.
But have you thought about it though? I mean, look, you have a window. You're looking at space, unfiltered, and just the ambience of the spaceship rumbling.
I think that's his answer, though.
Yeah, I mean that is wow. I've never heard anything like that.
I mean, it's the quintessential headphones album because when you're listening to it on headphones, I mean, you really get the full sense of every little production tweak that Trent Reznor was going for with that album. Because it's worth remembering that he worked on that, diligently for over 2 years. Work on The Fragile started in earnest in January of 1997, and the album itself wouldn't come out until the third week of September 1999.
Okay.
And I mean, it also helps that there's a track on The Fragile that was mixed by Dr. Dre. Yeah, I mean, because it's a song called Even Deeper, and it just has like this bottomless bass sound to it. It's just incredible. And especially when you're listening to it on vinyl in a quadraphonic setup in your living room, there's just nothing better than that, really.
Damn.
Shit.
I think I take the greatest hits and or just the best of Paul Simon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solid.
Damn, that's a good one too.
I'm talking like all the Graceland. Like I want the best of
The greatest.
the greatest.
Paul Simon's the greatest. Okay. What else we got?
Oh, again, from the mid-90s. This is an album that, well, I've definitely paid the most for this album of any album that I own in my 2100 title collection.
2100 LPs, everybody.
And it is Failure's Fantastic Planet from 1996. The alternative rock band Failure, that was like their final album before breaking up and then reuniting about 20 years later. But it's about an hour long, 17 tracks. And it's an album that I discovered around 2018, it was 2019 by the time I discovered it on my own. Again, it's one of those where I found the YouTube link for it, and the thumbnail was the album cover, and I really like the album cover, so I thought, well, yeah, sure, I'll give this a shot. And I really liked it, and to the point where I felt compelled to pay about $120 for that album.
They have a song on here you're gonna like, number 9. Look at number 9. The names of the songs are very, very, very delectable.
Sergeant Politeness.
Sergeant Politeness.
My daughter's name is Solaris.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, yeah, Solaris is a good track off of that album. I really enjoy it.
The album cover looks
It's
amazing.
It's amazing.
I mean, yeah, it does go to show that, more often than not, in order to get people to listen to your album, sometimes you just need a really good album cover.
And that cover would have done it for me. You got spacemen coming down with space guns with a spaceship behind them, and the album says Failure right off the bat.
Yep.
To me, that drives me bananas.
Yeah,
it drives a point of curiosity.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy album too, both sonically and thematically. Definitely an artifact of mid-90s alternative rock. Definitely a lot of fuzzed out guitars on that album. It sounds like it was produced by Steve Albini, but it wasn't produced by Steve Albini. He had actually produced their album Magnified from 1994. And also one of their first albums, too, whose name escapes me at the moment. But that album is definitely an underrated gem for sure. And also kind of criminally overlooked, too, because I hardly ever see anybody talk about it in any capacity. Although recently there was a documentary released about the band Failure. Don't know if it was like a Netflix thing, but definitely an album worth checking out if you're into 90s alternative rock.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check this out. I'm going to go online tonight and I'm going to...
And it is on Spotify too.
You think they have it on Google Music or
possibly
YouTube Music?
Definitely on YouTube, because that's how I initially discovered it. But like I said, it definitely goes to show that sometimes all you really need is a great album cover in order to lure people in, and then when the music hits you, you're like, damn.
Officium, Jan Garbrick, what is that? Garbarbrick? Garbarbrick. You ever hear of that album down there? I don't know.
No, I can't say I do.
Thomas is
That's
on
a
one.
new one to me.
The fuck are you talking about, Thomas?
He says, please try it.
But yeah, it did, because even though I love this album, it did take a bit of persuasion for me to like shell out about $120 for this album, because I had to wait for because for a period of about 3 or 4 months after I initially discovered this album, I was regularly checking eBay and Discogs for a copy that might have been less than $100. But unfortunately, the longer I waited, the more I was like, yeah, I don't really think I'm going to find a copy that's less than $100 that's still going to be in great shape. So I just bit the bullet one night after coming home from, it was that friend that I was telling you about that had introduced me to acid. And, you know, eventually I moved back into the home where my parents lived. They had bought another house someplace, but I was essentially taking over their old home. I got home one night and, you know, we had gotten pretty high, you know, so my inhibitions were lowered significantly. And one night I just was like, you know what? It's only money. I have a steady job. I can always earn more money. So I ordered this through eBay. Came a week later. I'm like, so this is what it feels like to drop over $100 on a single album. I mean, it's a double album, but still, it's.
I got to check it out. The fact that you spent that much
I will
money
check
on
it out.
I'm going to check Failure out. What's the name of the album again? Tell me again.
Fantastic Planet.
Fantastic Planet. And they're getting off a rocket ship with guns on this fantastic planet.
Okay, we found something. How many more you got left?
Just 3 more.
Okay, we got 3 more left, but we found something here. Go ahead and play it when you can, Marilyn, if you are watching. One second here.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Eraserhead.
That right there.
I don't know what to make of that shit.
Very interesting.
Onwards and upwards
Onwards and upwards.
to
2.
Captain Beefheart, Trout Mask Replica from
I
1969.
have no idea who the hell this is.
no-
Captain
But
Beefheart,
I'm gonna go with you. This must be very, very
trout
important.
mouth replica, and it's got a trout head, Bromont.
With a wool green jacket and some sort of Sherman or Sherpa scarf. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. It looks.
They look like somebody
trippy.
from goddamn Alice in Wonderland, don't they? Like a Mad Hatter.
Yeah. I mean, it probably has one of the most interesting backstories because Captain Beefheart, he definitely had some mental issues going on. I don't know if he was ever diagnosed formally with schizophrenia, but, you know, conventional wisdom would tell you that, yeah, he probably was. He had released a couple albums up to that point, which were more along the lines of, you know, just kind of straightforward blues rock, you know, white blues rock. But eventually he decided that he wanted to create something totally different. So he enlisted his childhood friend, Frank Zappa, into the fold.
Really? That's his
who-
childhood friend?
Oh, yeah. And it originated when Don Van Vliet, that's Captain Beefheart's real name, sat down with an audio engineer one day, and the audio engineer was doing this experiment with tape splicing where, you know, the audio would still maintain a certain rhythm, but they would be called from different sources. And apparently that's the sound that Captain Beefheart wanted for this particular album. So when it came time to write the songs, he mainly employed the piano, which was an instrument that he was only vaguely familiar with. He didn't really know how to really play it competently.
Right.
But he wrote most all of the 28 compositions from that album using piano. And then he had his guitarist, who was actually trained in music theory, to transcribe all the really bizarre stuff that he was doing, like through sheet music. And so the band proceeded to spend like at least the next 5 or 6 months working about 18 hours a day, just studiously rehearsing this material that this crazy guy was coming up with. And during this time, the band was kind of growing in increasingly poor health. You know, more often than not, they would rely on shoplifting in order to get themselves some food. Even the drummer once talked about how he subsisted off of a cup of soybeans every day for about a month or so.
Damn.
I mean, yeah, by the time they finally got into the studio to record what would eventually become Trout Mask Replica, I mean, it's reported that the band members were looking pretty cadaverous. And Captain Beefheart also had this method where he would also put the individual members into like a barrel, like a literal barrel.
Oh, man.
And just essentially berate them until they had finally, you know, submitted to his will.
What kind of
It was-
cultist shit is
Well,
this?
I mean, it was a very cult-like environment, and you know, it resulted in one of the most bizarre albums ever made. And you know, it's regarded as like one of the best examples of avant-garde music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's even listed on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest albums of all time at like number 59 or 60 or whatever. So it's a very highly regarded album, and even David Lynch, you know, God rest his soul, said that Trout Mask Replica is actually his favorite album of all time.
Really?
So, as highly regarded as it is, it's also an incredibly alienating piece of music. Because, like I said, it's about 79 minutes long, 27 tracks, and I mean, even after about 5 or 6 listens, when you're actively trying to get into it, I mean, it just sounds like unlistenable. Because it just sounds like a bunch of cacophony that was just slapped together at the last minute. But then when you learn about, you know, the intense laborious process that the individual members had to go through in order to make this album, you realize that every single thing that you're hearing on that album was intentional. So when you're hearing rhythms that just don't sound quite right, or whenever you hear Captain Beefheart sing like almost out of time with the rhythm of the song, they did actually intend it to sound that way.
Oh, shit.
Damn, and that takes a different skill set.
That's a hell of a story.
I mean, it's almost like anti-music in
Right,
its own
right.
way.
It's like, let's play the opposite of what we know.
Truly, and people like Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, bought this album way back in the day, mostly because Frank Zappa had produced it, and anything Frank Zappa, he was already into it. So he put the album on, and he's like, "Well, what the hell is this? They're not even trying to make music." And so about like the third or fourth time that he forced himself to listen to it, because a double album back then cost quite a lot of money. He's like, I'm starting to kind of get this. It's almost clicking for me. And then, by the time he listened to it for about the 7th or 8th time, he's like, this is literally one of the greatest albums ever made.
Right. Steve Elbows and we have some comments about Zappa.
So Steve says on Zappa's Lost Tapes album, they have a early song they did together about a turd that won't flush.
It's also rumored that there was an instance where Frank Zappa and Captain Beefheart were sharing the stage together and having a sort of gross out contest between them. Again, this is purely rumor, but there was one point where Captain Beefheart had dropped his trousers and took a shit on the stage, at which point Frank Zappa scooped it up and put it in his mouth.
Okay. Well,
but Frank Zappa later confirmed that didn't actually happen.
Okay.
The closest he ever came to eating actual shit was at a Holiday Inn breakfast buffet in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
well, our own Ken Spong is eating plenty of shit. Steve says, it's very listenable and does not sound like a random cacophony, but hey, it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
Zappa was too tight most of the time. If anything, he didn't allow room for the music to breathe that much. What do you think about that?
Well, all I really know is that the recording sessions for Trout Mask Replica, I mean, it was just a single 6-hour-long session. They just, banged out all the songs during that time. And the only reason they were able to do it in such a short amount of time is because, like I said, they had been rehearsing the material for, months on end, pretty much every single day for about 18-ish hours. And I mean, the results speak for themselves, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
he seems like a person that you're either into it or you're not.
Exactly. I mean, it definitely separates the wheat from the chaff in that respect.
Yeah. But you felt like you had to own that particular album.
Well, for its historical significance, yes, and over the years, I've definitely warmed up to its particular style, and yeah, I mean, it's also pretty funny in certain songs, like "Old Fart at Play." It's essentially like this really bizarre, surrealistic story. And then there's also like a Bill's Corpse or Neon Meat Dream of a Octofish.
Right. Yeah. That shit sounds
See what I'm
crazy to
saying?
me.
Wagyu says, but however, you guys, Ozzy definitely bit the head off of a bat. He thought it was a rubber one, though.
True. That is actually true.
Good God.
At Wagyu, the bat had to go for a rabies shot afterwards. Oh, shit. He bit the head off some dubs during press conference type things before that he thinks.
That's wild.
Ozzy used to work in a slaughterhouse. When he was thirsty, he used to just stick a knife in the nearest cow and fill his mug with blood. Is that a true thing?
No, I don't know if that's particularly
God
true
damn it,
because you
Wags.
can only drink so much blood before you get sick from it.
Right.
Like maybe a pint or so.
Wags, knock it off.
I mean, he definitely worked in a slaughterhouse, though. That is
did.
actually true.
Oh, shit.
It's also true that he took 10 tabs of acid once and talked to a horse for about an hour. But after that time, apparently the horse, turned around and spoke directly to Ozzy, saying, "Shut the fuck up and go away."
The horse said that?
Apparently. Yeah.
I mean, but how do we know?
How do we know?
Well, all we really know about that is what Ozzy has told us.
No, I'm saying I believe Ozzy did it, but again, when you do a drug, how do you know it doesn't?
10 tabs of acid. He may have tapped into
It's like
everything.
a fucking spirit world.
Possibly.
It's possible.
I mean, I myself have only had 2 tabs of acid per trip, so I wasn't anywhere near as high
What's
as what he
what's a
achieved.
heroic dose of acid? Do you know what that magic number is?
I honestly have no idea. I suppose it largely depends on the individual, their body mass, their tolerance for heavy drugs.
Because Wagyu said something earlier in the comment. He did some study on acid, and it won't fry your brain, but it will expose a schizophrenic gene if you have one.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, in the case of Sid Barrett, the former frontman for Pink Floyd, I mean, yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, he already kind of had a propensity for mental illness even before he started taking acid, but unfortunately, the acid exacerbated his mental condition, and eventually he became just really detached from reality, just, you know, kind of oblivious to everything that was kind of going on around him. And, you know, eventually the band just decided one day to not pick him up for a particular rehearsal, and they enlisted a friend of his, David Gilmour, who eventually would become a full-time member of the band and help them create some of their best-known music. So it eventually worked out, but you know, Sid Barrett himself had kind of like a tragic tale.
Tracker Jack says dosage can vary widely on acid.
Well,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got in the crates?
Okay. Well, speaking of Pink Floyd,
Oh,
kind of a rarity, a nice pair from 1974 that combines tracks from Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets, which were their first 2 albums.
Oh, we can't show this on YouTube.
Yeah, unfortunately, it kind
got
of takes
boobies.
Yeah, it takes a nice pair to you know, some punny lengths.
Yeah. That's a nice pair.
I could put my thumb over it. It's fine.
I mean, that's a nice pair.
But yeah, like I said, it essentially combines a Saucer Full of Secrets and Piper at the Gates of Dawn. But the distinguishing factor is that Astronomy Domain is actually a live version, and then there's probably a live version of A Saucer Full of Secrets, the title track for
Straight
that
up
particular
UFOs.
album. Yeah, possibly.
That's what I'm looking at. Pyramids, UFOs, and boobies. So pinky.
And the poisonous frog you want to lick.
And yeah, that was something that just came through the Wood Nickel store one day, and you know, I was kind of haggling with my boss about it, and he's like, "Oh, well, you can have it for like $20." I'm like, "Really?" Because I mean, it's in all my years of working at a record store. I mean, it's one that I've only ever encountered like maybe twice, maybe 3 times.
God, I got to get back into some Pink Floyd, man. I really do. And this album looks amazing. I didn't even open up to see all that.
Is he getting ready to take a shit or something? I don't know, but we'll show the people. Wagyu drew titties into the chat box. I didn't know. I mean, that looks like a good pair of titties.
It does. I didn't know you
Wagyu.
could do it. Leave it to Wagyu. He's so creative.
I hope my
love his
wife is
mind.
not watching this.
I love how your mind works, sir.
You just drew some boobies. You got a mathematical mind. Okay, here we come, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have to put my thumb over some of these things here, so bear with me. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Yeah, like I said, it was a compilation album that was released in 1974, and I'm guessing that was like Harvest EMI's attempt to capitalize on their newfound fame that they had achieved with Dark Side of the Moon year previous to that. You know, becoming one of the best-selling albums of all time, and you know, staying on the Billboard charts for
Over the Wall too.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. Well, since The Wall is a double album, every unit sold is technically counts for 2. So technically, The Wall is their best-selling album.
Right, yeah.
But it's Dark Side of the Moon was the one that, you know, holds the record for, you know, most weeks spent on the Billboard 200. Something ungodly, like, you know, at least 1,000 weeks or more on the Billboard 200 throughout the years. And I mean, it's a, you know, staple for, you know, pretty much every music head, yours truly included. So yeah, I can only assume that A Nice Pair was their attempt to capitalize on Pink Floyd's newfound fame by reissuing, their first two albums and combining them into one convenient package. But like I said, I'm kind of more or less curious to know why they had replaced the studio version of Astronomy Domain, which is the leading track off of Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and substituted it with a live version instead. Probably had something to do with copyright maybe, but it was issued from the same record label, so I don't know if there was any sort of conflict with, just combining the studio albums as they were initially released. But yeah, definitely a more collectible record for Pink Floyd fans.
Jeez, man. That's just like, I'm looking at history right here.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's essentially what appeals to me most about music is the history behind it and its context within, the social history of rock and roll in general. Because it is a course that I took in college. One of my regular customers was actually the professor of the social history of rock and roll course. As you would imagine, I did quite well in that. And it also helps that there were only ever 3 tests that we had to take, and all of which I scored like damn near 100.
Oh, I bet you did. I bet you did. They're like, you're cheating, sir.
Well, I mean,
they accuse you of cheating.
Because it was a summer course, and I can only imagine that the majority of the students that had enrolled in it, just kind of viewed it as like an easy means of getting credit towards, eventually graduating. But for me, it was like, well, since I already work in a record store, this would definitely appeal to me. And yes, it would be a pretty easy credit for me as well. And I mean, when it came time for the professor to ask us, a particular question, like, do you know this about this particular Rolling Stones album or whatever? Whenever he would ask a question, I mean, more often than not, I knew the answer and I would always have my hand in the air. And eventually the professor is like, look, does somebody besides Colin know the answer to this one?
Well, but that's the thing, though. I mean, that's the beauty when you get lucky enough to, when you go to school, your subject comes up, and it's like this moment where you get to shine and show your knowledge. There's no gratifying thing out there.
Right.
You're able to just do that. Like this, I'm well versed in music.
Well, I definitely wasn't able to do that with some of the algebra courses that I had to take, or the astronomy ones that were, so heavily entrenched in physics that I just could barely comprehend anything that the professor was talking about in the first place. But no, social history of rock and roll was definitely my shit, and definitely where I've shown the most.
Right. It's where you excelled.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jeez. I would have been cheating off your ass every day in that class. Colin, let me see your goddamn answers, man. You know I'm struggling over here.
Anything else on that?
I've already covered a lot of the aspects of this particular album. So I do have just one more in mind.
Okay.
Let's get to it.
And it's, again, from the mid-90s when they definitely weren't pressing up vinyl. Stone Temple Pilots, Tiny Music Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop.
Oh, okay.
Only ever pressed on vinyl by Music on Vinyl. Again, the Holland based company. Of course, they did come out with a 25th anniversary for it, but it's like this deluxe box set that comes with the vinyl album and then like a few discs worth of material. But if you're looking for just the vinyl copy, I mean, Music on Vinyl is the only label that has ever, faithfully reproduced it.
How did Scott pass away?
Well, unfortunately, it was a drug overdose. He had passed away in late 2015. And I distinctly remember that, too. It was like just a few days before my birthday. I was just sitting up in bed one night, and then I just, pulled up Pitchfork, and they said, breaking news, Scott Weiland dead at such and such age. I'm like, really, though?
Yeah.
Damn. And then a few weeks after that is when Lemmy from Motorhead passed. And then a couple weeks after that is when David Bowie had passed. So it was kind of a rough.
You see this,
era.
and it comes back to the same freaking trail. The same guy from, I forgot his name, from Blind Melon.
Shannon Hoon.
Shannon Hoon. You got Kurt Cobain. He blew his brains out. But you got all these peoples, man, that just are greats, and they're the ones that are passing before the people that are not so limelighty. It seems like this trend, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, the demise of grunge music in the popular mainstream.
Yeah, Prince is one.
Well, yeah, he had died of, fentanyl overdose.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, Prince almost just kind of went out like a sucker,
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I really hate to say it, but I mean, considering the dude was very anti-drug for most of his life.
To let that be the way he goes out.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost kind of similar to Michael Jackson, being addicted to certain pharmaceuticals. And, of course, he...
ketamine, wasn't it?
Well, he had overdosed on Rohypnol, which was like a local anesthetic. But yeah, especially as it pertains to Stone Temple Pilots, going back to what I was saying about grunge just kind of fading out in popularity in like the mid to late 90s. The grunge scene was already kind of known for having particularly heavy subject matter. Its music was generally heavier. And I mean, I guess after, a few years after, putting out a bunch of like really thematically heavy material, people are just kind of, tired of, heavy shit all the time. So the mid 90s, before the rise of nu metal, was kind of like this, and anybody's guess as to whether or not was alternative rock the predominant force in popular music today? Was it heavy metal? Was it groove metal? Was it industrial? Was it post grunge? Was it jam band oriented material? Was it even ska for that matter? It was kind of like this very eclectic wasteland, if you will, where a bunch of people were into a bunch of different artists of a bunch of different genres. And then in the late 90s, when you had the rise of nu metal, that became the dominant force in popular music.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of when Bradley Noel from Sublime OD'd on heroin too. Like, it just these things, man. It seems like it's a pattern. I just can't help but to look at it. But like Chrome says, it's better to burn out than to fade out, I suppose.
Yeah, that's a Neil Young line.
Is
it's
it
better
really?
to burn out than to fade away. That was taken from Hey, Hey, My, Into the Black from Rust Never Sleeps.
Oh.
Matter of fact, Kurt Cobain had directly referenced that line in his own suicide note. And it kind of put Neil Young in a weird position too, because, I mean, it was certainly what he meant by, it's better to burn out than to fade away, but he never intended it to be like this motivating factor for somebody to blow their brains out.
Right. But I don't think anyone does. I just think that people take these things and they extrapolate them for their own selfish cause, I suppose. Like, it's kind of
to each his own.
Yeah, it's to each his own.
But Tiny Music Songs from the Vatican Gift Shop, it was Stone Temple Pilots' third album. It came out in March of 1996, and it definitely broke away from like the harder rock, grunge alternative sound that they had came out with in 1992 with the Core album that had like at least 4 or 5 really successful singles that you still hear on radio to this day. Matter of fact, when I was shopping at Kroger on Monday night, I heard them play Plush over the speaker or whatever. But it was Tiny Music where they were kind of leaning more into a psychedelic rock oriented sound. And it was something that Scott Weiland had wanted to pursue for quite a while, but he didn't really feel confident enough to really pursue it with the Stone Temple Pilots and their music. So eventually heroin kind of won out over any sort of fear or inhibitions that he might have had towards making a Stone Temple Pilots album that was vastly different from anything that had come before it. And so as a result, it is a very confident sounding album in spite of its stylistic change. And in my opinion, it's the best album that they ever did by far. Because I always associate it with, just really beautiful, fantastic summer days. Just a lot of great memories tied to this particular album. And, it's definitely a rarity in the sense that, again, it was only ever pressed for a very limited time by Music on Vinyl. And I remember picking up my copy for about like $26.99. And of course, you look it up on like either Discogs or eBay, it definitely goes for much, much more than just 27 bucks.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely thankful that I got on that before when I did, because shortly after I did get it for myself, that's when I noticed that the listing for it on our distributor's website had just disappeared altogether, which means that's effectively been discontinued.
Has there been, I mean, what we witnessed in this record collection so far, it took us a lot of different places. Has there ever been a famous all-female band that just did great in that time frame, like the 70s, 80s, maybe late 60s?
Like an all-female band in the 90s?
Or the 80s, 70s, anything that...
Well, I mean, the Go-Go's certainly come to mind.
Oh, the Go-Go's, yeah.
Beauty and the Beat definitely is their most popular album. And again, it's one of those where, I stock it in the store, it sells fairly immediately, and then I go to reorder it. It's on back order, so then I have to wait at least a few weeks, maybe even a few months in order to get it restocked. I stock it, it sells, then the cycle just repeats over again.
Okay, but is there any other band that sticks out?
What about Hole?
Well, I mean, Hole was mostly comprised of women, but there was a dude guitarist.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, L7 also comes to mind. They were definitely on the more heavy metal end of grunge music in the early 90s. Their album from 92, I think it was, Bricks Are Heavy. It featured a song on it called Shit List, which was featured in the movie Natural Born Killers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Shit List is a great song. And, all the members just had like this reputation for being really rambunctious and confrontational with their audience. Probably one of the most notorious aspects of L7 was they were performing at some festival. It might have even been like Lollapalooza for all I know, but there was one point where like certain members of the audience were kind of pissing them off. So Danita Sparks removed her, her bloody tampon and winged it right into the crowd.
Wagyu says Shoya is a Japanese all-female metal band that started in 1981.
Oh, it almost kind of sounds like Shonen Knife. I think they had some female members as well.
And Tracker says ESG.
Oh yeah, like it was kind of like this dub-oriented group. I think that they had formed as a result of a talent show, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, they did also have some really great songs too. Unfortunately, virtually none of their material I can get a hold of at work, which is a shame.
What about the Carnigans? Were the Carnigans all...
They had a female singer, but it was mostly a male band.
That was the song, or the band that I'm losing my favorite game. Da, da, da,
or at least the song that they're most well known for is Love Fool from 96. Love me, say that you love me.
Yeah,
it's a song about, just really pitiful codependence.
What about a back in the day, her name was Morchiba.
Morchiba, I've heard of Morchiba. I've never listened to him, but I'm familiar with the name at least.
Yeah, she was a female.
Yeah,
I think she had an all.
I know Portishead. That was both. That was male and female.
Yep, Beth Gibbons on vocals, Jeff Barrow on turntables, and Adrian. I know his first name is Adrian. I'm just blanking on the last name right now, but. Yeah, another trip hop group that I really, really, really wish that they would come out with a new album already, because most recent album, Third, was released in 2008.
Oh, they're saying the Bengals, Betty and the Banarama? Does that strike a bell?
I know of the Bangles and their song Manic Monday that was written by Prince.
Yeah. Oh, Steve Elbow says Morchiba or Bristol scene type trip hop stuff. Same scene as Portishead. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I would agree, Steve. But yeah, I never heard of the Bengals.
Yeah, I never heard of that. You never heard of
Just
that?
another Manic Monday.
Oh, yes.
You heard of this?
Yeah. Just another Manic Monday.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wish
Yep,
it
that
was a...
that was a
yeah,
Prince
yeah.
composition.
Yeah.
That was a Prince composition?
It was.
Did Prince ever get a chance to perform it?
I mean, there was an album that was released after his death called Originals, where it was like this compilation of songs that he had written for different artists that he had eventually performed himself. I don't know if Manic Monday happens to be off of that.
Mhm.
This
Massive
was
Attack.
released off of like 2019, I think. Yeah, Massive Attack is also another really great group that sometimes employs female vocals. The vocalist Tracy Thorn from Everything But the Girl had sung at least a few of their songs.
Mm.
Well, I remember in the movie Purple Rain, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you seen this movie?
I was just
yeah.
thinking the Purple Rain, man. I was just going to say that shit.
all the band members
I
were
should
female.
have just said it.
Most of them were female. Yeah.
Are you, the guitarist, right?
The
Wendy
pianist.
and Lisa.
The pianist.
Yeah.
Is the water warm enough for you, Lisa?
Yeah, and then some even say Prince was the female too.
Oh.
Am I black? Am I white? Am I straight? Am I gay? Am I a man? Or am I a woman?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah, that movie Purple Rain, I'm gonna tell you that gave me a very emotional response the first time I seen that movie. I knew that I wanted to play some form of music. And Prince was just the shit. I'm sorry. That dude
He
was
was.
a beautiful man
But
who had beautiful music.
was it a true story?
I don't.
It's semi-autobiographical.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as it pertains to his volatile relationship with his
father?
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that movie, man. I tell you, that fucking purple motorcycle and
I wonder if that's how. So, do you know if that's how he met the time? You think that like it was this long running gig at this certain place where Morris Day and the Time played and he played, and there was this sort of
It's very possible. I can't really confirm that. I don't really know enough, but you know, it stands to reason.
Yeah, it seems like it's right. There was just this ongoing feud, or maybe this like lighthearted competition that they had with each other.
the Runaways. Who are the
Oh yeah, the Runaways.
the Runaways?
Yeah, Joan Jett's old band. Yeah, Cherry Curry in the mix. Lita Ford, I'm pretty sure, came from the Runaways.
Damn,
Never heard of it.
I'm always blown back by your knowledge.
Your
man.
knowledge is beautiful, man. Like I said, you're a secret weapon.
You just
Who else did?
Bless you,
Walk
sir.
Like an Egyptian. I remember that song. Who sang that?
Oh man,
you know the song though, don't you?
I know the song. It's one of those things where if you said the name of the group, I'd be like,
you'd
"Oh,
remember it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Doy."
That's the Bengals. They're saying.
Oh, that's the
That
Bengals.
also was the Bengals. Well, I suppose that's possible.
Yeah, they're all saying that is the Bengals.
Oh,
That's wild. That's
that
nuts.
is wild.
You know, I'm so horrible at that. I think Robbie and I from PSN Network had this conversation a long time ago. Robbie would be like, "You never heard of this band?" I'd be like, "No, man, who the fuck?" And then he would say the song or try to sing it, and I'll go, "Oh, that's them." And he's like, "Yeah, twat." I'm not good with names, but I'm pretty sure I've heard a lot of different
Susanna
songs
Hoff.
and music.
Susanna Hoffs.
Oh, he also had Linda Perry from Four Non Blondes. Even after Four Non-Blondes broke up, Linda Perry was still writing songs for people like Pink and Faith Hill.
Oh wow.
I remember Four Non-Blondes for some reason.
I would have to say if I had to pick a female artist that I would have to just stick with and just
Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, Stevie Nicks 100%.
Fleetwood Mac. Me 100% Cranberries.
Dolores is great.
Yeah, definitely a sad day at the Wooden Nickel store when it was announced that she had passed.
Yeah.
Because my former business owner, he was definitely heavily into the Cranberries.
Cranberries. They were good, man. Cranberries was Dolores.
He would
had
play
vocals.
the Bury the Hatchet album every once in a while.
Oh my God. Bury the Hatchet. Just takes me back.
Damn. Reminds me of Yourself or Someone Like You. You know who that is?
Matchbox 20.
Yeah. You remember the album with that dude wearing that swimming hat?
Yeah.
It's the first album, man. I was in love with
Follow up Mad Season. I saw both of those on vinyl somewhat frequently.
Yeah. If you ever see that Yourself or Someone Like You album, I will gladly purchase that just so I can hear Cody on LP.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. That'd be an awesome LP.
Although Portishead, though, man, it's just something to be said about Portishead.
Glory Box.
Fuck. It's just.
I thought it was just too dark for me. I didn't really, I haven't had like a need to be like, oh, I'm going to play some Portishead.
Music to have sad sex to.
Yeah, like
because it is kind of sultry in its own way, but definitely down.
No,
tempo.
if you want to hump to something, man, Rye X. You ever hear Rye X? Anything by Rye X, you hump it.
Yeah.
Anything you hump it. Instant humpification.
What's up, Mango C4? Yeah, Rye X is that dude is amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He also takes that damn TR8S. This guy right here. He takes that thing with him everywhere.
Yeah, he works wonders with that.
Yeah, Rye X is amazing. Have you ever heard of the Blaze?
Blaze You Dead Homie, maybe.
No.
This
is pure
EDM.
electronic modular music here, and these two dudes, I think they're from Paris.
Yeah, I think so.
And the Blaze is something. There's something special. You might want to look them up. Ashley, I'm gonna send you some stuff. You'll dig the Blaze. The Blaze is amazing. And for those of you who haven't heard of the Blaze, I don't know what you're doing. My favorite electronic artist is
Bob Moses.
No, Para Fakuva.
Oh, Para Fakuva.
You ever hear of Para Fakuva?
Yeah, these are some.
I want to say the name sounds familiar. Like, how is it spelled?
Here, it's PARA FORCUVA.
Yeah, I think somebody might have requested that as a special order at one point.
Yeah, I think that was me. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was me.
I went back and saw his live. He did a live album for what's the people that do all the. They put on all the jams. They take you to different exotic locations and you do a jam.
Fuck.
However, I went back and saw that jam. It's already at like 12 million views.
Right? Yeah, I forget the name of the YouTube channel.
And that's the thing. You never really hear these people, but yet they have a massive following.
The YouTube channel is literally set up to take these electronic artists who do these just beautiful soundscapes. They put them in a location that they're not privy to knowing yet. And they took Rye X, for example, and put them in the salt flats surrounded by water and a floating stage. And it was the most beautiful fucking setup. They got the drones flying around and they're taking you on this video, audio vibe. And they do it for every artist. Christian LaFleur. You ever hear of Christian LaFleur?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, man.
You ever come across Love and Happiness?
Al Green.
Want to make it do right?
Yeah, that is Al Green, isn't it?
Love will make you do wrong.
Okay, that's enough, bro. Stop. What you trying to do?
I don't know. Wabbit got me into that shit, man.
Don't listen to that motherfucker, man. You know you
I
wild.
love me a good Al Green album. God.
Okay,
damn.
the YouTube channel is called The Circle.
Yeah, The Circle.
And once I seen this YouTube channel, I used to always tell this dude, one of these days
We're gonna be on The Circle.
We're gonna make it on The Circle. And it's a dope YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know, Chrome, if you can put the link up to the YouTube channel Circle Records. It's CERCLE, The Circle Records.
Yeah, that's a pretty good.
And check out the Para for Kuva live. That's PARRAFORCUVA. Para for Kuva. And check out the Blaze, y'all. They also made an appearance on
Thank
The
you,
Circle.
Wags. Wags got it.
Thank you, Wags.
What's up, Mango Fruit, my boy? Your old young ass.
Okay, favorite soundtrack of all time before we get out of here.
Favorite soundtrack of all time? I mean, the Lost Highway soundtrack immediately comes to mind.
Scary as
Highway.
hell, man.
I know,
Marilyn Manson,
right?
right?
Marilyn Manson
Yep.
has a couple of cuts on that album.
Yep, that's what
it
I
helps
watched.
that it was produced by Trent Reznor.
Oh, really?
It was.
That's what I watched the first time I ever had shrooms was The Lost Highway.
Oh man, you watched Lost
And,
Highway on
and,
True.
and my
On
and
accident.
on accident. My buddy, first time I was ever on shrooms. I hate to steal the carpet under your feet, but people don't know this story. The first time I ever done
We've told it before, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the first time I ever done mushrooms, it was a guy. His name was Alex Mirror. He was a half Japanese, half Hawaiian surfer. Taught my brother and I how to surf. Okay, taught Lamar how to play guitar and bass.
A little.
Right?
Not even that. I don't even.
I mean, this guy was the shit.
Yeah, he was the guy
Right.
of guys.
And he's the friend we acquired when we're making a serious life change.
Yeah.
From being in gangs to
We're like 17, 18.
diving nose first into Matchbox 20 and alternative life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, so I got some of these mushrooms. I'm like, oh, I've heard about this. He's like, you want to try some someday? I'm like, yeah, I'm off in a couple of days. And so he came over, and take in mind, I'm working in the EMS world, right? So living with my mother still, trying to find my way through life.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes over and he brings some mushrooms, and I get an eighth to myself, or no, a quarter,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets a quarter, right? No, I'm sorry, take it back. It was an eighth apiece,
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
right?
A quarter.
It was
my
it was an
ass.
eighth apiece, and he goes, "Don't say Vinny, eat it all." And I'm like, "Okay, got it, eat it all," right? He ate all of his, and 15 minutes go by, and I'm like, "Okay, now what?" Because it's been a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "Oh, we'll have to wait a while before it just kicks in." I go, "Okay, well, let's go to 7-Eleven, which is right around the corner from my house, right? Let's go to 7-Eleven. Let's go get some drinks and some food, and so we could chill too." He was like, "Yeah, let's do that. I need to get some cigarettes anyway." And I go, "Fine, let's go." And take in mind, we had bought said the devil's lettuce, and we were going to roll one later that day. So we go to 7-Eleven, or actually, we actually did roll one. We smoked it, and I was like, I'm feeling this over the mushrooms. It's been some time. And he goes, "Yeah, but like I said, it takes some time." And I go, "Okay." So we smoked it, and we walked to 7-Eleven. We get in 7-Eleven, and at the time, I was heavily into those Arizona teas. You remember those Arizona teas? And they had different flavors. And I'm going in there, and I'm just grabbing all kind of unhealthy shit, right? And right when I grabbed, I believe it was the beef jerky or something, and held the Arizona in the hand, they just started to look funny.
Oh,
And I was like, "Oh, I think I'm feeling it." But I wasn't going to tell Alex yet. Wasn't sure, right? And it really hit me as I'm still searching for food. I take everything to the counter, and then that's when it hit me. And when it hit me hard. And he said, "These were really good. We probably should have had just eaten half of the bag," right? And I'm fucking just gone. the Indian man in front of me is looking at me, and he's just like, I gave you the price like 5 times, my guy, and you still haven't even reached in your pocket to pay for said products, right? And I'm just like in stuck mode, and I'm going, yeah. And then Alex is like, yo, everything when Alex
Was yo's.
plural, right? Every word was plural. Yo's. You might want to praise the man's because I think it's sitting on you right now, dude. And I'm like,
Literally.
yeah. I just handed him money,
Yeah.
right? In hopes that he would give me whatever I deserved back. And he just looked at me like, fucking druggie, right? That's
At least
that's
how
how
you
I,
were looking.
that's how I felt, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my mind, I'm telling him, I'm no fucking druggie.
Yeah.
I just took mushrooms for the first time. I don't know. I'm lost. And he just took my money and was just like, and just took whatever, gave it back. And I'm having a hard time putting it in my pocket. He's bagging things up and there's someone else waiting to pay. And I'm just getting sketched out. And Alex is like, we got to go. And he said it serious. I'm like, oh, okay. So I grabbed my shit off the counter and looked at him one more time like I'm not a druggie, right? We leave out of the door. We come back around towards the house. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And we get to the house. We enter through the side door. We go straight to the living room. I begin to unload all of my goods. And I'm stuck even further, right? And I'm just seeing things. And things is fucked up. And he's not helping me one bit. And then as he sits there, he's looking at me. He sees it all over my face. I'm fucked. From here to Sunday, he goes, so I got to go. I said, what? He goes, yeah, I got to go. I'm like, go where? He goes, I need to go home real quick and I'll come back later, yeah? And I'm like, no, Alex, you said you was going to walk me through this. We got to do this together. He's like, yeah, okay. Let me go smoke this cigarette on your porch and I'll be right back in. I go, okay. Right? High as fuck. I don't know how much time went past, but I went to go to the front porch. Dude wasn't there. Right? And I'm peeking at this point. And I'm like, fuck. Right? And I go back in the house and I go, okay, this is where I start panicking. What do I do? Right? And I'm panicking like, how long am I going to stay this fucking way? Is this shit going to sit on me for the rest of my life? I feel like this is going to be on me the rest of my life. Like, you know what you should do? What should I do? You should watch TV. What should we watch? I don't know. Let's surf. Started surfing, HBO, Showtime, Skinemax, MTV. And I keep scrolling, and all of a sudden I see a film and it's dark and it's just a highway being shot like at 100 miles an hour. And then the title comes up and it says, Doom, Lost Highway. And I go, well, I guess I'll watch this.
Spectacular mistake.
It was one of the most grand mistakes a guy can make first time on anything. And I hurry up and turn the TV off. Take in mind, folks, I have a 72-hour work shift at an emergency ambulance company where we answer 911 calls the next day. Okay? I turn the TV off. I literally run into my bedroom as I checked over my shoulder. Paranoid as all get out. Close the door, hurry up and got undressed, got under the covers where I hid for about, 2-3 hours maybe. Who knows? Time didn't exist. And I came to this point where I was like, we need to go wake up my mother and tell her that I'm high on mushrooms and it's not going away and it won't ever go away. This is it. This is my life. I'm now going to be a retarded son that my mother's going to have to take care of the rest of her life. I'm now a burden on everyone. I'm a burden. I am a druggie like the guy suggested. And we fucked up our whole entire lives. And it's crazy. And I need to go right now and tell mom that I'm losing my fucking mind. I get up. I open the door. I come out of the room halfway and I go, this is the worst idea we could never think of. I go back in the room, close the door, back under the covers, and I go, right, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to get a hold of ourselves and just try to focus on sleep. Let's just try to sleep. The more I focus on sleep, the more I kept seeing my mother going, you're stuck like this for the rest of your life. You're done. You fucked up. I told you, now you're a druggie. You're dead. Right?
Druggie.
And the more I focused on that, finally, after 5 hours, easy, of in that room, freaking out, melting down, tripping, I was able to go to sleep. Woke up, next day, it was already like 10 o'clock. I had to report in to work at 7. And I called my supervisor and I said, you're not going to believe this, but I think, someone put something in my drink. It made me very sick, and I don't know what it was. And his name is Johnny. He started laughing. Mm. He was like, "Oh, okay. I ain't never heard that one before, but I've heard some wild ones
some good
before."
Ones.
And he was like, "All right, well, I'll find somebody to cover your shift, but just for today, make sure you come in and finish your at least 48 hours." I'm like, "Cool, I could do that." And I just go back and think, I'm never taking that drug again because of how it made me feel, what I had to watch, who left me, the people judged me. It was horrible. It was one of the worst times in my life until we've taken it again.
Mm. But during that time, I hadn't tried mushrooms, and he told me, you don't want to do this. Well, a week or two later,
he did it.
Guess who comes around the house with mushrooms? Alex. Uh-huh. And guess who's going to take these mushrooms with him? Now it's my turn. Mm-hmm. So we took, I'm going to assume, the same amount.
Yep.
I take him. We're in the living room. I don't know where he's at. And we're eating them, and I'm having the same questions I'm sure he's had. Yo, when is this going to kick in? Before all that started, I remember we had smoked some weed before, and we hadn't got there. We too, for whatever reason, go to the same store, okay? But I get out of there just fine. It's only until we leave the store is when my shit kicks in. And we're going back down the street, and we go up to the corner to the house, and I look at these palm trees. And I'm looking at the palm trees, and I'm just staring at them. And I remember Alex saying, "Are they looking at you too?" And I said something like, "Oh, you can see them looking at you too?"
Yeah, the palm trees was amazing.
And these palm trees had eyes, big ass cartoon eyes. And they were blinking like this while they were doing this, while looking at me. And I just remember staring at them for quite some time as they were blinking at me doing this. And when Alex came and said, "Yeah, are they blinking and looking at you too?" I thought, oh my God, this drug is we're on the same drug. And now I'm like, well, obviously we took the same mushrooms. And I go, well, what do you think that means? We're seeing the same thing. And he was just like, yeah, mushrooms just make you trip out. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. I've never seen palm trees so alive and so active. And then we go into the house, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so what are we going to do? He's like, I don't know, let's just watch some TVs, I was like, cool, let's watch TV. I'm enjoying myself, and then he pulls that same fucking number. I have to go. And I was like, no, man, we're like, what do you mean you have to go? Like, this shit is like, we're in it. He was like, no, like, I got to go. So this leads afterwards to thinking about it. We'll get back to that. Alex takes off. And I'm stuck there to my own demise. Mm-hmm. Probably in the same chair he was sitting in.
Probably.
Watching fucking Lost Highway.
Yeah.
So I'm surfing through the channels. And you know what I come across?
Oh, I hate this one.
You know what I come across on my first time on mushrooms? Maximum fucking Overdrive.
The Stephen King movie.
Yeah, with Emilio
Estevez.
Yeah.
I get a quarter of the way in this film as these machines and big rig trucks are killing people. And I go, truly, you're not supposed to watch this type of movie on mushrooms. It was all too real. I started feeling bad for the people. I thought, oh my God, these trucks are just homicidal maniacs. And how did they even develop a consciousness to kill these poor people? I left, turned the TV off, went to my room, laid there. Then I had the epiphany of, I'm going to always be like this. I should probably go tell my mother, who's a nurse, to see how I can get off of this shit.
We went
Number
through the
one.
same shit.
And as I just went through that, I had a TV in my room in the closet, and I turned that on. And thank God the I Love Lucy show was on. But the only thing I can make out that what they were saying was, wah, 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 oh, wah, wah. It was Charlie Brown. Okay?
Yeah.
And then during this, I'm like, God damn, there must be a skunk outside of my window.
Yeah.
There must be a skunk outside of my, this smell. I remember doing that. Oh, this horrible smell of a skunk is outside of my window. Why? And I'm hating that odor. And my leg starts to itch. And so I got to itch my leg. I get down there and I itch my leg, and inside of my sock, I pull out this big bag of dainty-ass weed, and I smelled it. It smells like a skunk. And I thought to myself, have I been smelling my bag of weed in my sock this whole time, thinking it was a skunk? This is like the shit going in my mind. I'm like,
this is like when Chronic first came out.
this is when the Sticky Icky first came out. And I looked at my bag and I was just like, I don't want any more of this. So I threw that shit on my hamper, and I'm just like, now I'm really like, I'm in it. And I'm not going to go wake up moms. I'm not doing that, because I'm going to stick firm to what Alex said. And he says it goes away. And so I focused on that, and I was up, and I had to work the whole night, or I had to work the next morning. And I'm up. And I'm just like, it is a 10-hour high. And I'm riding this thing, watching I Love Lucy, what I can make out what the fuck they were saying. And I'm just like, I'm in it. I finally go to sleep. And I'm sure I probably had a vivid ass dream. I would have had to. Woke up probably 9 hours later. It's like late afternoon. And I didn't even call in. I just think they just assumed I wasn't coming in. It was plain and simple.
No
math.
call, no show.
Yeah, no call, no show. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, I told my brother, and he was like, I told your ass. I told you.
Even Wagyu had to work the next day when he did.
And I was just like, man, I'm never doing that shit again.
Yeah.
Because that dude set my brother and I up. So this is my conclusion to Alex, Mira, motherfucker. If you ever watch this shit, fuck you, man.
Yeah, you fucked us
You
over
knew
royally.
what you did to us. You knew what you did. I
That
think
was
Alex
fucked
left
up.
us alone because he knew if shit went bad and our mother's in that home, he would have been looked at, and he's probably thinking they're going to call the cops on me.
He's not taking it well.
And he didn't want any parts of it. So I think he got rid of himself, and he knew to do this. I can't blame Alex for it. But at least give me an explanation, motherfucker, on why you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the mushroom story for the first time.
Yeah.
The second time, it went a whole lot better.
It went a hell of a lot better.
We were in good company. We were in the middle of the desert.
We went
was
outside
nice. We
and
went
looked-
outside and watched the stars.
It was beautiful. Had great conversations and
Laughter. Well, he plays Medal of Honor.
no. I played modern.
He plays Modern Warfare. Okay.
Who is it? We are leaving. What was
On
that?
mushrooms, when you're watching somebody play a war game, you are in the war game. And then when people start dying, and when he's getting hit by the bullets, my reaction was, "Oh no, oh my God, are you all right? Is your character all right?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're like, oh, I don't think I can watch this. You're in war right now.
Yeah.
It was so horrible.
Our buddy was just like, "Oh no, I can't watch this, man. It's so sad." He was like, "Wait, stop. why are you killing these people? We don't even know what they did.
Yeah, we don't even know these people.
So maybe if you stop shooting, they'll stop shooting.
This is how far we've gone into the video on mushrooms. And I'm sure we are all under some sort of heroic dose.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing things on the wall that should not compute in reality. Pictures that are just like kind of melting, but like morphing into the wall and like.
And he had a shirt on.
Popping out.
He had a shirt on that had ram's horns.
It was just circled.
On the shoulders,
a 70s shirt
right?
that was like, that had stripes going under the armpits with a muscle car on them.
But it looked like a ram's head on his shirt. And it was the funniest thing to me ever. And I just couldn't control myself. And I said, for the love of God, why are you wearing a ram's head?
Yeah.
And he's just like, what are you talking about? And that's when I know we're having a good time. You know, everything is laughs, everything is positivity. We go out, we look at the stars, and we pondered our existence. And that's how I would like to have my drug experience.
I messed up and went to the bathroom and caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror.
Oh yeah,
And I don't.
it's like Shrooms 101.
Yeah.
Don't look for yourself.
Don't look in the mirror.
No one go to a mirror high on mushrooms because you'll stand there evaluating yourself for a very long time.
You wouldn't like it.
You would not. You don't want to see yourself.
It's the reason why they say that.
Pupils were fully blown.
Yeah.
You've done it before?
Well, shrooms just the one time, but you know when you are high like that, I mean, yeah, your pupils are pretty much the same width of your iris.
Right. Yeah.
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 It's not until you try heroin does the exact opposite thing have your
They
pupils
constrict.
turn into a pinhole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those downers are quite nasty.
Listen, people, live vicariously through the three of us.
We'll see you, Thomas.
See you, Thomas.
Is Jervis coming on soon here? Should we be getting off? Did we fuck over Jervis? I don't know.
I do actually have to be going.
Yeah.
soon.
See,
You should have said something. God damn it. Don't let us sit here and jaw jack if you got to go somewhere.
I wonder if we
Well,
can sell.
I mean, because I do have a crock pot of beef stew.
Oh, well, there
cooking
you go.
right now.
Yeah,
it
you gotta
is
get-
getting
you
to be around the time where
Well,
we're
how
starting
do
to
we-
finish.
that shit
Look, this is how polite Colin is. He's like, okay, I've showed my record collection. I got to go, but I'm not going to say shit.
Shit, I got a crock pot of beef stew going that I should probably fucking turn off.
Some random shit.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of crock pot cooking. I mean,
Yeah,
you
you don't have
gather
to-
all
you don't
the
have to be there.
ingredients, you
Yeah.
set it on low, and you just let it cook for 8 hours. It's really good.
Listen, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for watching this beautiful musical podcast, and thank you for Colin for showing up. You are a beautiful man. You are a wealth of
shucks.
knowledge. You know that? You are a wealth of knowledge. Colin for president.
Jervis come and gone. Oh, Jervis has already been on.
And listen here, okay? Live vicariously through the three of us. Take this shit as a forewarning. Make sure you actually know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Yeah. We will bring Colin back. When do you want to come back? Let's just say 2 weeks if you're not busy.
Yeah, 2 weeks would be best.
Yeah.
There you go. He's back in 2 weeks.
And don't forget to watch his or listen to his radio show, which is
Sidetracks on 89.1 WBOY Fort Wayne Radio. We are on from 9 to 11 p.m. playing a wide variety of just anything and everything, really.
Yeah, go check out Colin, y'all. We're going to get him out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Thursday?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
We'll probably do a little bit of jamming and then
Friday is popcorn night.
and then do a podcast. So yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. And
Submit those jams. Friday's right around the corner. Submit that popcorn jam.
Wagyu, mango. Start submitting now. Probes. As I always say.
Love you. Bye.
Peace.
Hey.